ESPN welcomes you to the following presentation of the Southeastern Conference.
So great to see Coach Corso back where he belongs, and we bring you from one terrific SEC atmosphere to another. I think there's some folks in the Grove that watch the sun come up. They are ready for football, and we are ready to bring it to you. Welcome to Hottie Toddy Nation as we welcome you inside the vault, set for kickoff. It is ESPN College Football presented by Marathon, and welcome to the SEC on ESPN. They are excited about their Rebels here as they take on Auburn today, and why not? Bob Wischusen and Dan Orlovsky and Chris Budden. They're excited about this Lane Kiffin offense.
Yeah, big time. Who do you think's more disliked in Knoxville right now, Herbie for picking Alabama or Lane Kiffin? One of the best kept secrets in college football, I think, is that Lane Kiffin's offense is built upon the run game and balance. This is one of the most complete offenses in the SEC. They average 242 on the ground. They average 248 in the air. They've got 4 receivers that have at least 15 catches. They got 2 backs over 500 yards, and they're led by a sophomore transfer quarterback in Jackson Dart that's as talented as you can be, right? So I'm excited to watch this offense operate against an Auburn defense that, last week when they played Georgia, played pretty good for the better part of 3 quarters.
Well, Chris Budden, the atmosphere a lot different at Auburn.
Yeah, Brian Harsin had a very honest conversation with his team this week in practice. He felt like they had the pieces, the talent, but they weren't putting it together. He told me, I can be very matter-of-fact with this team. I told them passion is great, but passion doesn't hit the B gap. What that means, you have to do your job, do your 111. He said, I felt like the light bulb clicked. They were playing fast, they were playing right, and they were playing fun, and it led to the best practice they've had all season.
Well, Dan, as you said, Brian Harsin's defense last week did everything that could be reasonably expected to keep them in the game against Georgia. Now they have an equally difficult task against the fastest moving offense in America.
It's like playing Tetris at the end of the level, old school video game where everything when you get to the end happens so quickly and there's a bunch of different options. They change formation, they snap the ball every 20 seconds or so. It's a huge challenge for Auburn's defense today.
And Ole Miss wants to put their offense on the field to begin, as a fair catch, it seems, was signaled by Dayton Wade back inside the 5-yard line. He made some type of a signal, so it comes out to the 25 for the 2020 Gatorade National Football Player of the Year. And that, of course, is Jackson Dart. Started 3 games at USC before transferring to Ole Miss, where, Dan, he has this group off to an undefeated start. But he still makes that crucial error from time to time. It seems like that's the one thing they're trying to coach out of him.
A big thing for him, too, is what throws that he can make in the SEC that he also made in the Pac-12, and which ones can he not make in this conference that he was able to in the Pac-12.
And on first down, a quick toss to Zach Evans. And Evans gets pounded down after a gain of a couple, and a flag comes out. It came out right at the collision.
Personal foul, targeting, defense number 29. Previous play is under review.
That's Derek Hall, and they're saying that he lowered his head and came in with crown of the helmet on Zach Evans. Now, Derek Hall, that's about as disruptive a player as Auburn has in their front 7. To lose him for the rest of the game would be devastating.
Yeah, left side of the screen, number 29 right there. Zach Evans goes down. See, that looks like he leads with his right shoulder. That doesn't look anything like targeting.
That's not targeting. I mean, that's the face mask to the helmet of Zach Evans. Obviously, it's not forcible contact to the head or neck area of a defenseless player, I would think, because Zach Evans is a runner. He's not defenseless, so have a hard time thinking they're going to stick with this call.
No, that is just a good football play, a safe football play.
After further review, there is no foul for targeting. Contact is with the side of the helmet. It's second down.
So Derek Hall stays in the game as he should. The flag is picked up. It'll be second down and 8.
Yeah, versatile player for this defense, Derek Hall. This defense for Auburn has 1 interception. It happens to be made by him. He's their leader. He can do anything for them. And he's certainly going to be playing on Sundays.
This defense has only taken the ball away 4 times all season. 1 interception, 3 fumble recoveries. As a result, they're -9 in the giveaway takeaway ratio as Evans goes up the middle and comes up a yard shy of the first down. That has to be as big of a reason as any why they're off to a 3-3 start.
For sure, and it's the inability to take the ball away from the offense.
And a quick quarterback sneak for Dart on 3rd down and 1. He picks up 2 and moves the chains.
You know, Bobby, this Ole Miss offense is the #1 3rd down offense in the SEC. They convert over 50% of them. The reason why is they're always in like 3rd and 2 or 3 because of the tempo and the run game that they get done on offense.
And now Marcus Harris is down and hurt and looks to be in a lot of pain. Starting defensive tackle for Auburn. This is not a deep defensive line as well. So that's a concerned head coach as we step aside.
ESPN College Football is presented by Marathon. Get the most out of your drive, and in part by Popeyes.
Well, last night it was fun to be a part of the slam dunk contest as the men's and women's basketball teams held their version of Midnight Madness on the square here in Oxford. Dan Orlovsky doing his best to suck up to the team by coming up with illegal scores. A 1st down toss to Evans as we're back after the injury timeout. Derek Hall makes the stop. Marcus Harris was able to walk off, but he was wobbly as he went to the Auburn sideline, so he's been replaced by Marcus Bragg. 2nd down and 5. A keeper. Jackson Dart finds a crease and gets upended at the 37-yard line of Auburn by Donovan Kaufman, but he picked up 22.
Yeah, great job by Malik Heath coming down, blocking the safety. Dart reads the end. You pull somebody, and he's got the ability to follow him. Beautiful read by Jackson Dart.
Heath in motion. They stack it right. Play action. That's the way Dart looks. Now scans the field, extending the play, and throws it away. Good coverage in the secondary for Auburn as Derek Hall eventually forced the throwaway, but nowhere for Dart to go with the football.
You know, it's one of the strengths of this Ole Miss offense is trying to lull you to sweep. They give you the same look, and then try to counterpunch you. Good job by Auburn defensively. But you know what I'd say about Jackson Dart on that play? Get rid of that sooner. There's nothing there. Don't take that hit and expose yourself to injury.
Another keeper. Nice cut. And a 2nd down run for 8. It'll make it 3rd down and 2. Wesley Steiner brought him down. Always have to be aware of where Jonathan Mingo is. He's in the slot right. Zone read. Dart brought down shy of the line to gain by about a yard. Another tackle for Derek Hall. Now it's 4th down and 1. And they go up-tempo, Dan, to go for it. Quarterback sneak. The pile pushed. Down goes Dart. A takeaway on downs on the opening drive for the Auburn defense. Colby Wooden with a push.
What a great job by Auburn's defensive front. You're going to see Owen Papo, the linebacker, shoot right there, right in through that gap that stuns Brocker, the left guard. Wooden finishes it off up the edge as Jackson Dart's trying to get out to the left edge. What a fantastic start for this Auburn defense, handling that 4th down quarterback sneak.
Lane Kiffin puts his defense on the field for the first time. And it has been a tough year for this Auburn offense. Not a lot of production. Tank Bigsby into the secondary, though. That is a very promising start. He is only averaging 2.9 yards per carry against Power 5 opponents coming into today, and he picks up 11 on his first carry.
Yeah, so this Auburn offensive line has gone through a lot of change. Injury, poor play. The big challenge for them in their run game is getting him actually to the line of scrimmage and allowing his physicality and strength to be a part of their run game.
Bobby Ashford gives it to Bigsby again. And that, more of what we've seen this year. Bigsby hunting for some room and just not finding any. Picks up 1. Austin Keys and Tavius Robeson, Jared Ivey all in on the stop.
The inability, look at this stat. He's averaging less than half a yard per carry before getting hit. That's worst in America at 230 qualified backs. If they want any chance to win today, that is going to have to change immediately for this offense.
Ashford, he's a threat to run as well. Dumps one in the left flat though, and John Samuel Schenker, the tight end, comes up about 3 yards shy of a first down. So 3rd down and 3. And Robbie Ashford, sometimes a little too quick to pull it down and run.
Yeah, he's one of those very talented athletes that is trying to figure out, okay, I want to become a pocket passer, but also the best thing on this play and/or for my team is to my athleticism, to allow my athleticism to be a part of it. He's in that kind of 50-50 world.
4-man rush on 3rd down and 4. Here comes the delayed blitz, and he rolls right into the pressure of Tavius Robinson. So the sack backs up Auburn and forces them to punt.
Bobby, this is a perfect example of what we just talked about. Do I hang in the pocket and try to stay a passer, or do I allow my feet to take off? Right when he moves to his left here, go. It's 3rd and 3. You are athletic enough to beat somebody to the perimeter, but he tries to reset and remain a passer. The pressure comes from Robinson, and a quick 3 and out for this Ole Miss defense.
So Oscar Chapman will at least try and change field position with the rugby style kick. Jordan Watkins lets it bounce, and that will take an Auburn roll all the way down inside the 6-yard line. Something that happened all too rarely last week. Field position being on Auburn's side, as they had a great time this morning out in the Grove, as usual.
In our college football studio with an AT&T 5G studio update. We have got scoring aplenty in Norman already between Oklahoma and Kansas. Rock Chalk down 7-0. Jason Bean in. Look at Lawrence Arnold's concentration for the catch. Ties it up at 7 apiece, but Oklahoma comes right back down. Eric Gray, direct snap. 14-7 Sooners early.
All right, Matt, back and forth start between the Sooners and Jayhawks. Time now for today's Weekend Wake Up, brought to you by Wendy's Breakfast. And a lot of great games to keep our eyes on today, as we've got 5 ranked versus ranked matchups. Obviously, Dan, the main event, Alabama-Tennessee.
See if Bryce Young plays.
Jet sweep. Dayton Wade breaks free. Foot race down the sideline. Wade finally pushed out at the 40-yard line by Donovan Kaufman.
Great job blocking on the lead front with both Mingo and Casey Kelly, the jet sweep, and then Wade shows some big-time speed to transfer from Western Kentucky.
36-yard gain. Now about a 3-yard gain for the freshman Quinshon Judkins. A great 1-2 punch with Zach Evans.
Judkins is just a total package for them. Power, vision, unique cuts. The true freshman from Alabama has become just kind of their go-to back when they want to pound the football.
They'll toss it to him this time. Judkins to midfield. Picks up 5. Let's go down to Chris.
Yeah, Marcus Harris is available to go back in the game. He was testing his right leg. He told the trainers, "I'm fine." He was actually standing near his family in the stands. They said, "Are you sure?" He said, "I'm good, Mom."
We've got another injury to talk about now, though, for the Auburn defense. As you can see, Marcus Harris still walking around on the sideline. That's starting corner Nehemiah Pritchett down, looking at his right knee. Since Lane Kiffin took over at Ole Miss, he has had this offense rolling. 2nd in FBS since the start of the 2020 season. 5-5 during the COVID year, but then the first 10-win regular season in program history last fall, off to a 6-0 start this season that has the fans here in Hotty Toddy Nation starting to dream of the glory days of the late 50s, early 60s. And why not, as they are at midfield facing 3rd down and 2. A fumbled snap, and another stop for the Auburn defense. An errant snap short circuits the drive at midfield for Ole Miss.
That looks like a moment where center Caleb Warren thinks that Jackson Dart is underneath, and Jackson Dart is in the gun. Look at the snap by Warren that goes basically where the hands of the quarterback where he would be if he was underneath. That is total miscommunication by center and quarterback.
So that will force a midfield punt.
You know, it's one of those things, Bob. When we were, as a young quarterback, you often get taught when you get underneath center, you got to make sure that he knows you're there. You give him a little pressure, just to he kind of has a target to where to snap that ball. Obviously, doesn't happen between Warren and Dart.
And the spiraling kick from Frazier Muzzin ends up in the end zone. So now we have time for today's Aflac trivia question. Well, this one might be kind of a throw a dart at the board for Dan Orlovsky. We'll see. How many weeks has the SEC had 4 teams in the top 10 since 2014? This would be one of those weeks, obviously.
How many separate weeks has that individual moment happened?
Since 2014.
Okay, so that's 8 years.
Gotta do some math.
College football playoff era. I mean, it's going to be a total guess. But what else is new?
20-yard line for Auburn. Bigsby got their last drive started with an 11-yard carry. 2 tight ends, he's the lone setback. Takes the handoff, finds a running lane, makes a man miss, and he's got 12, maybe 13 yards to get this drive started. Otis Reese eventually got him down.
The big thing is allowing that offensive line, Council and Jackson, to kind of give him the ability to have a cutback lane. You know, penetration happens, but they kept running their feet. Bigsby's got great vision to the backside. That's the second good run today by this offensive line for Auburn.
Did KD Hill enter the neutral zone with contact?
Offside, by contact, defense number 77. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
I think they got the number wrong. As we take a look at our impact players, Tank Bigsby needs to be one, Dan, today.
We've talked about him a lot today. They've got to get him more carries, and then he's got to continue to run through arm tackles. And then for Ole Miss defensively, Tavius Robinson already had kind of the early sack. His length and his arms, his ability to shrug off blockers is going to be a big part of this Ole Miss defense.
First down and 5 with Ashford under center. Again, 2 tight ends. Bigsby again. Looking to get to the edge. Has a first down. Out of bounds at the 45-yard line. He has 8 more. Tysheem Johnson bumped him out, but this is a promising start for the Auburn run game.
Well, what I'm liking from Auburn right now is putting 2 of the tight ends on the field, Shanker and Luke Deal. They're kind of putting them together. That's allowing the dented defense or evening the formation, and they're allowing Shanker to block on smaller defenders from Ole Miss. So the 2 tight end set, what we call 12 personnel, is really helping this offense.
Still working on that right leg of Marcus Harris over on the sideline, as you can see. See if he gets back in there for their defense. Here comes the blitz. They screen behind it. A count and a possible interception. Did A.J. Finley scoop it up before it hit the turf? It looks like he did. Ashford could not set up Bigsby for the screen, and Finley picks it off. Ole Miss has the football back.
It's a little bit of pressure on Ashford early on off his left side. He's trying to get it to Bigsby, and then Finley does a great job. Here's the thing. You really want, if you're Ashford, to pull the string down. Imagine pulling the string of a light. Does Finley get his arm underneath? What great athleticism. You want to pull that ball down to allow a little bit of air on that throw, to allow Bigsby to adjust to it. But what a great, not only aware play by A.J. Finley, but that right arm getting underneath the football. Tough play for Robbie Ashford, but you love for him to kind of take a little bit of touch onto that football. That looks like a pick.
The ball can make contact with the ground if, in the judgment of the officials in replay, the player trying to catch the ball has complete control of it.
Sure.
I mean, it sure looked like Finley had that one pinned to his chest.
Going on the field was interception by the defense. The previous play is under review.
And now they're going to go and double check via replay. But I agree, Dan, they would have to have indisputable evidence that the ball hit the ground and Finley lost control. I don't know that we have seen a replay that would change the call. Let's see. Maybe this angle.
So right hand underneath. I just don't see the ball move at all.
Yeah, that's an interception. I agree.
What a great play by Finley. Finley, phenomenal football player, probably the most consistent defensive player for Ole Miss, top 5 tackling defensive back in the SEC. Got married recently off the field.
Well, he's led Ole Miss in interceptions the last 2 seasons, and that would be his second on the year if it holds up.
Great play.
And again, to contrast Ole Miss's defense and Auburn's defense,
yeah,
as good as Auburn has been at times trying to hang in games, they've only taken the ball away 4 times this year. This would be the 11th takeaway for the Ole Miss defense,
yeah,
which of course would put them on the plus side at +2 this year.
And think about the takeaways converting into points for an offense that is one of the best in America. When I'm talking about, so imagine opening the door of a closet and you've got the old school light bulb in the ceiling and the string hanging down, right? The pull to turn it on.
Right.
That's kind of what the motion you want if you're Robbie Ashford. Just continue to pull down. You want to get on your tippy toes.
After further review, really on the field stands.
Yeah. On that throw, you kind of want to raise up on your tippy toes, get the ball up high, release it, and then kind of keep pulling down, because that's going to allow the ball to get to Bigsby for a little bit easier catch. But nevertheless, a great play by A.J. Finley.
Let's go down to Chris Budden.
And great player and great leader for this team. I talked to Finley yesterday. He's been around this program so long that they call him Pops. He's the guy you call if you need anything. He'll help you if you run out of gas, hang a TV. He's the unquestioned leader on this defense.
Well, he just took the ball away. And now back to the offense, another jet sweep. Way to the opposite side. Takes a heavy hit, but picks up 11. Knocked down by Donovan Kaufman. But that's a first down for Ole Miss.
Ole Miss doing a great job right now early in this football game of getting the ball on the edges to the perimeter of this Auburn defense.
Play action. Dart. He wants the deep shot. Wide open in the end zone. Hauling it in. Dayton Wade. That's an Ole Miss touchdown. The first completed pass of the game for Ole Miss, a 35-yard touchdown, and the giveaway becomes 7 for the Rebels.
This is phenomenal by Lane Kiffin in this offense for Ole Miss. It's going to start with motion, okay? You motion down. What happens is when you motion down, you create leverage. See the split, the receiver right here? This receiver is going to be the guy in the double move. Now watch. He's going to push vertical right now. He's going to go out and then vertical. Beautiful job. Now I've got the corner. He turns thinking I'm going to run the out route. I've created that space off the cut split. And then Dayton Wade wide open for the touchdown. Beautiful play design. Jackson Dart has great protection. Getting run on Jalen Simpson. And they turn that turnover into an easy score. What great play design. You cut the split, he's going to think the out route happens. And it all started with this. Pressure off the left edge. Robbie Ashford's trying to get that screen pass. A.J. Finley, both their leader and their big-time playmaker, gets the right hand underneath, and then Ole Miss turns it into points. Man, I love that play design.
The first touchdown for Dayton Wade, Western Kentucky transfer, who was convinced to come to Ole Miss as a preferred walk-on. Well, now he's a big-time contributor to this Ole Miss offense. He's got 82 yards of total offense. Those jet sweeps working to perfection as we check in with Matt Barrett.
Big game, Bob. If you like points and maybe you had the over in the point total, you love this first quarter between Kansas and Oklahoma. Devin Neal untouched. Rock Chalk ties it. 14 apiece.
Do I like points? I call the Jets on the radio. I love points. And they're starting to score some now.
3-2, Bobby.
That's what I'm talking about.
Elijah Moore, an old Rebel, starting to have he's healthy. His quarterback's back. He's got some vertical juice. A big part of their offense.
Well, C.J. Uzomah, Carl Lawson action too, if you're an Auburn fan.
There you go. The guys have been better than you.
Little bobbled snap, and dropping the football is Ashford, and he has to cover up. He lost the ball last week on an up-the-middle run against Georgia, simply dropping the ball as well, and here can't handle the snap smoothly, and things were going sideways from there.
Doesn't it feel like in that moment trying to do too much? You bobbled the snap, you're going with the zone read, the end crashes down, and that's the perfect example of don't make a bad play worse as a quarterback. Robbie Ashford is crazy talented and has the chance to be a great player. Settle in on the road and just try to simplify what you're doing.
A 9-yard loss, though, on first down. He looks over the middle, now out of the pocket, directing traffic, extending the play. Ashford tucks it under, and he'll run out of bounds after a gain of about 7. So now it's 3rd down and 12.
And that was the right decision. You know, we talked about the battle, stay in the pocket, remain a passer, or get out. Nothing's open there. That's when you go get out, try to create. So 3rd and 12 versus a defense in Ole Miss that likes to play man coverage, and there's going to have a lot of moving parts around for this offensive line. Important, communicate what we want to try to get done, and if you get man, find a one-on-one matchup, maybe Javarius Johnson, number 6.
Here comes an Ole Miss blitz. It gets picked up. Ashford bullets one over the middle. Caroms around. Does it hit the ground? Javarius Johnson, the intended receiver. And on that pinball, almost an interception, almost a first down completion.
Everything by Robbie Ashford is perfect on this. You climb the pocket, eyes downfield. You're looking for Johnson, but you want to try to pin it on his shoulder there rather than throwing it behind him. Multiple people have the opportunity to pick that off for Ole Miss defensively.
Davison Igbinosun was there in coverage. And Oscar Chapman. A wobbly kick to midfield. Fair catch called for and made by Watkins. 42-yard punt. Pretty good field position for Ole Miss with the 7-0 lead as we answer today's Aflac trivia question. Aflac. All right, Dan, you have a guess? How many weeks the SEC has had 4 teams ranked in the top 10 since 2014? It's a pretty big number, as you would expect.
I'm going to say 26.
Not even close. You almost have to double it.
Shut up.
45 weeks the SEC has had at least 4 in the top 10. And tack on this week as well. Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and Ole Miss.
Yeah, I live in Connecticut.
When was the last time UConn was in the top 10?
Girls basketball?
Attaboy. First down run for a couple of yards as Judkins gets this drive started. As we take a look to add perspective, how many times the other big conferences have had 4 or more teams in the top 10 since 2014? That's pretty lopsided.
I got a good story coming off of that stat.
All right. Slant, and about a yard shy of the first down. The catch made by Jordan Watkins.
I live in Connecticut. My sons are 10 years old. They got a buddy whose family's from Alabama. They play football, and the young kid, I was with him the other day.
3rd down, Judkins makes a man miss and spins to move the chains.
And I go, Andrew, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he was like, well, I want to go play football at Alabama. And I was like, me and you got to go talk, champ. We live in Westport, Connecticut, bub. They make them different down there.
Judkins again, the lone setback next to Dart. Play action. Dart with a pump fake. Pocket starting to collapse, and down he goes. Again, good coverage downfield, and the rush gets home. Zion Puckett came on a safety blitz and picked up the sack.
You see that kind of that hesitation from Jackson Dart? That's where they are. You kind of allow him to live in the world of being confident but not overly aggressive and reckless with the football. And I see a little hesitation right there.
2nd down and 12. Dart slings one to the sideline, and that looks to be good enough for a first down. Casey Kelly getting the start today at tight end after Michael Trigg broke his collarbone last week. And losing Trigg, that's a big loss for this offense.
Yeah, big time, because Trigg has become kind of a really good blocker, but a difference maker athletically for this offense. Pressure on Casey Kelly to step up.
A handoff to Judkins. And a good gain on first down. He's got 5. So Auburn struggling offensively. And you can see TJ Finley over there warming up with the freshman Holden Gariner. Let's see if there is a quarterback change. As that ball thrown to the sideline and thrown away by Jackson Dart. Chris, what do you see?
Well, Gariner was already up throwing, and Harsin came over, looked at Finley and said, "Can you go warm up?" And he looked at him and said, "Yeah." He hasn't played in a couple weeks, dealing with an injury. He did throw more this week, but we didn't expect that we'd see him today.
Well, that looks like a quarterback getting warmed up to go in the game. We'll see if that's how it plays out.
Holding, offense number 57. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat, second down.
So it will now be 2nd down and 15 after the Ole Miss holding call.
Micah Pettis has become someone on this offensive line, such a big deal. He came in and kind of underperformed. And he even said in his own words, I saw other people coming into this program and realized, I'm replaceable. And unless I start to put in the work and apply myself, which he did this offseason, I'm going to get run by. And he's been inserted early on in this season at right tackle, and he has been probably the brightest spot of this offense.
Judkins in motion, they fake it to him. Dart down the sideline, drops it in perfectly to Jordan Watkins. Well-designed play. DJ James got over as fast as he could, but Watkins bumped out with a big game.
Watch the rhythm of his feet. Ball fake, 1, 2, 3, hitch, a little bit of a deliberately slow rhythm. His eyes follow, beautiful touch on the throw.
Play action, and a quick hitter knocked down intended for Watkins, but Owen Papo was able to jump the route and get a hand on it.
That's something that young quarterbacks that are so crazy talented struggle with, which is what Jackson Dart is. Crazy talented is, the rhythm of your feet, the trust of your eyes. Mechanically, can I be sound? Because you're so good, sometimes you don't have to be mechanically sound, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. If he can live in that world that we just saw last play, you got a very bright future.
A little flip down the sideline to Zach Evans leaking out of the backfield as Dart faked his own running play and froze Auburn's defense. They've got another touchdown. I'm not sure I have seen a quarterback create his own play action fake.
Well, when you do quarterback run,
effect,
yeah.
Yes.
Great design again. This is why calling these games are so much fun, because the design by Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr., man, is absolutely awesome.
And now it's 14-0.
All right, so this is what happens. It looks like quarterback power, and Evans is going to be a lead blocker. You pull the guard, and then this is Evans. He's going to go bluff. Now pay attention to the vision of these defenders as they're looking at everything going on in the backfield. Quarterback power, now bang. Evans leaks out behind that defender, and it's an easy touchdown for Jackson Dart. That is the 2nd touchdown for Ole Miss today. That is such beautiful design of taking what we have shown you offensively and then that counter punch. We talked about that, Bob, early on. Is they've got, and I say this about Lane Kiffin, look at his juice and energy. I don't think Lane Kiffin pays attention to the result of plays. I literally believe that he watches the play and watches what the defense does, and he's just trying to figure out, if you're doing this, we can go to that. And that's the example right there, that touchdown.
How impressive is it that they are able to come up with some of those counters, even during possessions, and still play at the NASCAR speed that they play at?
It's a testament to not only the coaches, but the players. The players have to be really smart. You cannot be a skill position guy at Ole Miss and just be physically talented. You got to have great football awareness. You got to be very intelligent. You got to be adaptable because your coaches are. It's a testament to their coaches and their players in the development of both aspects.
14-0 Ole Miss. Back to Matt.
Want to get you updated on what's going on around the country in our noon window. We're tied up 14 apiece. Kansas, Oklahoma on ESPN2. Iowa State, heavy underdog against Texas, up 7-0 the Longhorns out of the first quarter. ODU and Coastal Carolina. Coastal, the only FBS team undefeated that's not ranked. And on ESPN3 on your phone, Miami, Virginia Tech in commercials. But Dan, you can pull out your phone and not text me and watch football.
That's just the love connection there. Going to get interrupted.
I would never text him.
As predicted, TJ Finley enters the game at quarterback, and the first carry for Jarquez Hunter picks up a couple. Finley, of course, injured about a month ago. A touchdown and 4 interceptions, so it was not going well when he left, but obviously the offense not moving under Robbie Ashford. He dropped the ball that put them behind the chains on the last drive, and now they make the quarterback switch. Hunter breaks a tackle in the backfield and does well to pick up a couple of yards. It'll be 3rd down and 6.
Bobby, I think we called TJ Finley's first start at LSU a couple years ago when they were playing on the road versus A&M. Very impressive performance. Now he's going to bring a little bit more of an understanding of this scheme in comparison to Robbie Ashford, but he's definitely not the athlete to be able to go get them out of some bad situations. So see what happens.
If he's right, he's got a howitzer attached to his shoulder.
Talented
so
arm.
how does their offense potentially change with him in there?
Yeah, the lack of zone read and quarterback run, and specifically on these 3rd downs, the inability to get away from rush defenders. If you're Ole Miss, you're sitting it back going, here comes the pressure, we're going to make you move, quarterback.
And with the play clock winding down, Brian Harsin calls a timeout from the sideline. Well, coming up this week on Sunday NFL Countdown at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. Before their rematch, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes will sit down and relive the wildest 13 seconds in NFL history. And then Monday Night Football. It's the Broncos in L.A. taking on the Chargers at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6 on ESPN. What has to happen for the Broncos to get Russell Wilson and that offense right?
Yeah, so it's not all that different than Auburn's run game. They've been really bad with negative plays offensively, so they got to at least get their backs, specifically Melvin Gordon, back to line of scrimmage. Russell's had some uncharacteristic misses. He's got to get back into rhythm. I know he's got a little bit of the injury. And I believe they got to figure out, like, are they going to try to replicate Green Bay's offense that Nathaniel Hackett brought over, or are we going to lean into a little bit more of what Russell does best?
After the timeout, let's see if Auburn able to handle 3rd down and 6. They only have 30 yards of total offense to this point. 4-man rush. Finley, he is going to go down. Wrapped up again by Tavius Robinson. That's a straight 4-man rush that comes through and gets the sack.
Well, it starts because they put Kyrie Coleman on the outside. This is Kyrie Coleman. He's going to rush, and then Robinson's on the inside. Focus on this move right here. That leftover swim. They've got the athlete on the inside because they took the athlete on the outside. He beats the left guard. Kyrie Robinson, we talked about him, or Tavius Robinson. The arm length is such a big deal for him as a pass rusher. And Lane Kiffin believes that he's going to surprise some people in college football when it comes to the NFL draft next year because he's so beloved athletically.
Now they're going to go to replay to review whether or not before Finley went down, the ball popped out. They didn't rule that Finley's forward progress would stopped, and maybe they should have, because that would have not been a reviewable call. But as he was going down, looks like Jared Ivey may have knocked it out and come up with clear recovery. This could be an Ole Miss takeaway.
Robinson ripping at it. You see Ivey coming in there. And that ball's moving.
And it looks like he does not have complete control before he hits the deck.
You see how, like, Tavius Robinson, as he's bringing him to the ground, is ripping out the football even more, and then Jared Ivey, the transfer from Georgia Tech, comes in with that left hand and punches it out.
So Auburn makes the quarterback switch, and nothing changes, unfortunately, for their offense.
What I don't like about this play by TJ Finley is the moment he moves, the moment he kind of moves at the top of his drop, his hands separate from the football. And then it becomes, I'm carrying it in one hand. For all young quarterbacks, man, when you're moving in the pocket, you got to keep two hands on the football at all times. Those defensive guys, they see it in one hand. They're not trying to sack you. They're hunting the ball in that moment.
It looks like this is going to be Ole Miss football at the Auburn 23-yard line.
After further review, the runner lost possession of the ball prior to touching the ground. Therefore, it's Ole Miss ball, 1st and 10 at the 22-yard line.
So Ole Miss with clear recovery by Ivy on the Tavius Robinson strip sack. As it turns out on TJ Finley. And that's a disaster for the Auburn offense.
Right there. You see how that ball comes off? He becomes just carrying it with his right hand. Now he's only got it in his right hand. And that's how that ball pops out. Listen, it's a very difficult world there when you are a quarterback and you are getting beat up like some of Auburn's guys have to start this game. But once that ball separates, man, that becomes something that those defensive linemen are taught. We got to go hunt. So that's a fundamental thing for TJ Finley. Keeping two hands on the ball in the midst of that chaos.
So again, the Auburn defense up against it. And again, the jet sweep. Again, it's Wade. This time it seemed like Tigers were ready for it. A gain of 5.
I can guarantee you something is coming off of that jet sweep look. With those two tight ends leading out there and the handoff to Dayton Wade, there is a big pass coming off of that for this Ole Miss offense. Can't win a lot of games when your turnover margin is like that.
And so -9 on the season becomes -11 with the 2 giveaways today. Evans up the middle. It looks like he's got a first down.
Doesn't it seem like that's what Ole Miss wants out of Evans, just a little bit more? The TCU transfer, crazy talented, just some of those tough yards, those physical yards, where he's got to go up in between those guards and really lower his pads. If they can get that out of him, man, both him and Judkins become big-time forces.
Well, it might be the final play of the opening quarter, although as fast as Ole Miss goes, who knows? 1st and 10 from the 11. Right up the middle. Once again, it's Zach Evans. Down to the 6-yard line, he picks up 5, and it looks like that will take us to the end of a first quarter dominated by Ole Miss. A 2-touchdown lead for the Rebels after 1. Auburn with 4 offensive possessions of the first quarter. None more than 4 plays. 2 of those end in giveaways. Jackson Dart paid one of those takeaways off to Dayton Wade. Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. And welcome back to ESPN College Football, presented by Marathon. Selfies in the Grove at a 2-touchdown lead for Ole Miss on Auburn. And the Rebels right now looking for more. 2nd down and 5 from the 6-yard line, as they are trying to take the second of 2 first-half takeaways by their defense and turn it into points. Zach Evans lowers his shoulders inside the 3 to about the 2.5. Marcus Bragg made the stop. Bob Wischusen and Dan Orlovsky and Chris Budden here in Oxford. Evans again at the goal line. Does he get that push? He does. Touchdown.
They bring his 6th offensive lineman in the game, Mason Brooks. He flips over to the right. Pettis comes to the left. And then Evans, talked about it a little bit earlier on that drive. Just the drop your pads and go get some tough yards. Very impressive. Ole Miss scores their 22nd rushing touchdown of the season. Leads the country. And I think that's one of the hidden things about this Lane Kiffin offense.
So Evans has 1 on the ground and 1 through the air, as he adds to his total to 8 touchdowns on the season. Later today over on ABC. 2 more important games at 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central. A Big 12 matchup between Oklahoma State and TCU. Both teams ranked inside the top 13. And then the Saturday night football game presented by Capital One in Tallahassee. Florida State and number 4 Clemson at 7:30. You can also catch the always colorful Pat McAfee and his crew highlighting that game on ESPN.
Did you see McAfee jump into water again today? Again, which is a statement of itself, where not only did you see him jump in water, but for the 2nd time since he's been a member of Game Day. Yeah. Backflip, belly flop. Can you do either of those, Bob?
I can do the belly flop. That's easy. That's the kind of fun you get to have on the sideline when your team scores 3 straight touchdowns. You are undefeated and you are rolling, and that's the way they feel right now at Ole Miss.
They legit have someone blowing smoke out of like a fire.
Speaking of blowing smoke, back to Matt Barry.
Bud.
Thank you.
Uh-oh, now we go, Bob with shoes. And watch this play by Tanner Morgan down 10-0. Saw his guy was covered, keeps it himself. Now 10-7 Illinois. Bob with shoes, and find someone to talk about you like Orlovsky fawns over McAfee.
That would be, my wife doesn't fawn over me the way Orlovsky fawns over McAfee. And it's right back to Robbie Ashford now at quarterback.
Either one of two things. This was part of an original plan for Auburn, or they just wanted to get him in on the sidelines for a series. Settle down a little bit. You're the guy.
Bigsby tried to go inside, bounces outside, picks up 1.5 yards. Davison Igbinosun on the stop. Chris Budden?
Yeah, to Dan's point, I mean, Ashford sat and had a long conversation with the coaching staff, took some time to sit by himself and think. He got up, started throwing, went to his entire offense. He said, I'm going to make this right.
Bigsby picks up a first down. And then when Robbie Ashford went to the sideline when he was pulled after the last drive, obviously he was not happy. You can see him in the background on the phone, slamming down the receiver. And maybe that's when the news was delivered. Who knows?
Yeah, I think that's a quarterback that's getting told TJ Finley's going to go in. Listen, he's a young player. And I get pulling him to the sideline. Hey, settle down, big guy. Just kind of reset your thoughts.
Nowhere to go for Ashford. The fake didn't work. Otis Reese, the rover, came up and made the stop for a loss of 3.
But that's a great play by Ole Miss's defense. There's nothing to do for Robbie Ashford on that play there. Otis Reese is going to be the pressure guy. The read tells him the defensive end steps down. You carry it, but then Reese is waiting right there for him. So that's not a bad play by Robbie Ashford, more than a credit to this Ole Miss defense. Now his last 2 drives, 2nd and 14 plus.
Jarquez Hunter with a flag down. Tank Bigsby, by the way, has 44 yards rushing, Dan. Before that last play, Auburn has 32 total yards. So when anyone other than Bigsby touches it, they're going backwards.
Bad stuff,
and they are going backwards by 10 here.
I mean, Auburn's averaging 1.8 yards per play. Ole Miss is averaging over 8 yards per play.
Holding offense number 62. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat second down.
I think that holding is kind of it's on Cam Stutz, but it's really predicated or built by the aggressive, kind of explosive nature of this Ole Miss front. Getting off the ball, Katie Hill and J.J. Pegues. So now you're talking about a young quarterback that's on the road for an offense that's struggling. His second drive of the game, he was in 2nd and 16. Now he's in 2nd and 22.
Brian Harsin told us when we talked to him this week, we're only good when we're having fun.
Right. This ain't
his
fun,
team is tight. They don't look like they're having fun. The team in the light blue jerseys on the near sideline is the one that looks like they're having a lot of fun.
And they're not good enough to not execute well and stay, quote-unquote, on schedule.
Ashford to throw. Running for his life again. Nice little pump fake to free himself up for at least 5 more yards as Austin Keys put pressure on him. He scrambles for 8, still 3rd down and long.
You can see the athleticism. Okay, I got to get out because of pressure from Ivy. Ball fake out in space, and then the ability to go get 8. And now, like you said, leaves you at 3rd and 15 versus a rush unit and an offensive line that's struggling. If you're Robbie Ashford right now, it's most important that you try to go create on this 3rd down. If you get pressure, use your legs, keep your eyes downfield, and force this secondary to plaster.
Three-man rush. And again, the rush gets through. Again, Ashford extending the play. Floats one down the sideline. Terrifically done. Corey Moore breaks free. Well, there's the improvisational ability of Robbie Ashford.
When you talk about a big-time play, Kyrie Coleman comes in basically unblocked. The spin away, look at the point. And then he finds Coy Moore. I love the fact that he got out of the pocket, Bob, but kept his eyes downfield, remaining a passer and not just relying on his athleticism.
Bigsby muscles his way to the 20-yard line for 2.
You know how hard that is as a young player, man? You know, I mean, you're getting pressured basically every single snap. And the ability to get away from it, but then also keep the eyes downfield, point to Coy Moore, hey, there's space, go get it. That's something that he brings that TJ Finley doesn't. And that is a big play for this young man's confidence.
Bigsby gets bounced backwards. Big time collision. And it looks like he lost a yard. Troy Brown came through and made his presence felt at the point of attack.
Both Otis Reese and Troy Brown came up and absolutely sawed off some offensive linemen. So we just saw the scramble ability of third down. Now Ole Miss does a good job in their secondary of rotating the coverage from pre-snap look to post-snap look. If you're Robbie Ashford, have your eyes on that boundary safety. If he goes to the middle of the field, throw to the left boundary. If he goes back towards that left sideline, you work the middle of the field.
The officials just took Cameron Stutz out of the game.
Well done.
It may have been from that last big collision. So DeAndre Jones comes in and takes over at left guard as Stutz is on the sideline for 3rd down and 9.
This safety goes back here. I want you to work the middle of the field. If that safety goes to the middle of the field, work the perimeter.
Ashford looks over the middle, fires a bullet inside the 5-yard line. Omari Kelly, 1st and goal, down to the 2.
That's exactly what he should do. He climbs the pocket, safety went to a deep half, the middle of the field is vacated. He finds his receiver, Omari Kelly, on that crossing route.
And now a timeout I think is going to have to be called by Ole Miss on defense as Auburn was trying to steal one of their pages, going quickly
First time out of the half.
and not allowing the Rebels to substitute. We'll step aside for a moment. I think they might have a few things to discuss tonight on SEC football final in this league. Alabama, Tennessee later, and now 1st and goal for Auburn at the 2-yard line. Keeper, cut back, goal line, it's a touchdown for Robbie Ashford. Just what Auburn needed. So after 4 possessions, none of which went more than 4 yards, or 4 plays, I should say. That's a 9-play touchdown drive with 2 big 3rd down conversions.
Outstanding job by Robbie Ashford on that drive.
Anders Carlson tacks on the extra point, and Auburn on the board.
Watch the job by the left tackle, Killian Zier. He's going to lead up on this and then go up to Otis Reese, and then you're going to have vision. Once this defensive end collapses, Ashford's going to get on the perimeter. You got a lead blocker as a tackle and find the end zone. What a drive by Robbie Ashford to get the Tigers back in the game on the road, 21-7.
ESPN College Football, presented by Marathon, is brought to you by Cooper Tires. Go with the Coopers.
Well, memorialized here at Ole Miss 60 years ago this month, October 1st, 1962, James Meredith, a 29-year-old Air Force veteran, registered for courses at the University of Mississippi, becoming the first African-American to do so in the history of the school. Can only imagine the courage it took to do that.
Good history lesson for us all to hear about.
Wade from the 5. With speed. Good return. Out across the 30-yard line. Let's go back to Matt Barry.
All right, guys, Texas had struggled offensively early today against Iowa State, down 7-0 late second quarter. Quinn Ewer is here to Xavier Worthy for the touchdown. They get on the board, tied at 7 apiece over on ABC. Now, like Orlovsky, no one was ever going to accuse Sean Clifford of being a dual threat quarterback. But here he just fooled the Michigan defense. Takes it 62 yards, finally gets chased down like Orlovsky would have, but Penn State punches it in now 13-7.
Coming from all 5'9", 127 pounds of you, it means absolutely nothing, champ.
First and 10, Ole Miss. As Auburn just got on the board. Now it's on their defense to try and keep this a game. As this Ole Miss offense, 3 straight touchdowns on their last 3 possessions.
Yeah, ball in the right hash formation there. Look at all the space at the bottom of the screen they could go attack.
Again, the jet sweep. This time it's J.J. Henry. 3 yards. Derek Hall, Owen Papo out there to contain the jet sweep.
Bobby, something's coming off of that jet sweep. We've seen it so many times today. The Dayton Wade. There's going to be something where they get the defense flowing horizontally to go chase it down, and then they'll try to hit them with a big play action over the top.
Now it's Quinshon Judkins. 2 more. So here's a 3rd down now. 3rd down and about 6. Colby Wooden made the stop for Auburn.
So often on these 3rd down and 5 or 6 situations, they like to start with Jonathan Mingo. Hey, if they're going to play him one-on-one, this is him right here, then we're going to throw him the ball. If they're going to shell him, we'll go work the field.
Jackson Dart under pressure, unloads before he gets sacked. Got it in the area, at least, of Casey Kelly, but there's the pressure from Derek Hall. It is a 3-and-out forced by the Auburn defense after their offense finally scored.
Now watch the right side, Hall. Just complete bull rush on Micah Pettis, and then the restriction of the pocket. Nowhere for really Jackson Dart to climb up. Gets to the top of his drop, and that pocket squeezes so quickly. There's space for him to get to, but he doesn't have enough time. There's Auburn defense who played man coverage on the back end, doubled Mingo. Off of the touchdown, quick 3-and-out.
The first 3-and-out forced by the Auburn defense. Deontay Scott with a fair catch. Pulls it in just inside the Auburn 24-yard line. And this season, Allstate will celebrate every field goal and extra point made by participating universities by making a donation to the university's General Scholarship Fund. Thank you to Allstate.
You got to feel so great about Auburn's last drive if you are Auburn, but it's unrealistic to think 3rd and 15 and 3rd and 9 are going to be great conversions. So can you be better on 1st and 2nd down to not tax your young quarterback so much?
Well, it looked like there might have been some drama over on the Auburn sideline after that last drive, as they'll start this one with a Bigsby run. And Chris Budden, as Dan said, you would think they would have been happy on the sideline. That didn't seem to be the scene.
Yeah, there was a strange argument between Ashford and Tank Bigsby. They came over, they had to be separated. Ashford kept saying to Bigsby, don't give up on me. We just put 7 points on the board. They continue to jar back and forth, and at some point, one of the other players goes, why does it matter who scored the touchdown? Harsin eventually came over, had a long conversation with Ashford. They tried to make it better before going back out there.
You know, and that's what the argument looked like was, hey, we just scored. We asked Tank Bigsby about what has been your impact on Robbie Ashford. He said, I'm just trying to keep him calm, tell him he's doing well. Adversity comes to all of us, but so do good plays. So I'm interested to hear him say that, but then watch that interaction between the two after that much-needed touchdown.
3rd down and 2 to try and keep this drive alive. It's Bigsby into the secondary. Bigsby across midfield and finally wrestled down at the Ole Miss 41-yard line by Igbinosun.
We talked about these 2 tight end sets for Auburn.
There is a flag down back on the other side of the 50. And it looks like Auburn dejectedly walking backwards.
Offense number 16. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat 3rd down.
So the wide receiver Malcolm Johnson called for a hold that obviously Brian Harsin didn't see.
I mean, watch 16 on the right side of our screen. I mean, that's a bad call.
Well, it's also a spot foul. It may still result in a 1st down. It does.
But it takes 30 yards of offense or so away from Auburn.
It does give Auburn a third down conversion, but
Sure.
you're right. That was a 27-yard gain that all but gets wiped away as they only pick up about 2.5 yards.
How about these third down conversions? Going back to Ole Miss Auburn game last year, Auburn offensively has really struggled on third downs. They've got 3 in their last 3 times.
So now Jarquez Hunter in place of Bigsby, but instead it's an end around, and it works well. Damari Alston, the true freshman running back, only his 9th carry of the season. Brought down by Troy Brown, but it's good for 13 yards.
Yeah, and if I'm Auburn, my 2 tight ends are not coming off the field. Both Shanker and Luke Deal, and then a little bit of sprinkle of Tyler Fromm. You know, Ole Miss has such athleticism on their defense, but they're not huge. And I think the size right now for Auburn, specifically with the tight ends in the run game, is really having a big impact. There's one of those tight ends. Now they got the tight end wing down at the bottom of the screen.
Coy Moore loads up that side, and they're going to run that way with Hunter. Dives to midfield for a couple. Otis Reese made the tackle.
But see, they're at least not even getting these negative plays, Bob. You know, the only time they've really had those negative plays is when they've been aggressive with the throw on first down and or penalties. You really got to stay disciplined if you're Eric Keesaw, their play caller.
Hunter into the secondary again. An extra gear down the sideline. All the way down to about the 5-yard line before he's run out. They'll mark him out at the 3. It'll be 1st and goal, Tigers.
Watch the tight end seam backside and block. You're going to get that. Look at that seam right now. Their offensive lineman can climb up, and then Hunter has great vision. You know, there's 2 tight ends on the field again there. Luke Deal kind of came back, spliced back across on that defensive tackle, and Hunter had a massive hole.
Hunter again. Drives inside the 2 down to about the 1-yard line. Wrapped up first by Troy Brown.
And this is when you can utilize Robbie Ashford and his athleticism and legs. We saw it on their previous touchdown, the zone read. Everything right now for Auburn should be where he has the opportunity to be a runner if Ole Miss is going to be aggressive to the ball carrier.
Bigsby back in the game as well.
Remember, they had a little bit of that disagreement, right? You should have given it to me potentially. You kept it. You still got to be true to the play if you're Robbie Ashford.
Ole Miss a little late substituting. 2nd down and goal. Bigsby cut back. The push at the goal line. He's across. An Auburn touchdown. How about this response down 21-0? Back-to-back scores. Now the center, Brandon Council, down after the play.
Bigby's going to be met by, it looks like, Otis Reese. And just a great job by Bigsby of kind of using his legs to drive that pile. Good push by the left side. They pull Jeremiah Wright. Man, I cannot be more impressed right now by what I've seen, not only from Auburn, but really specifically Robbie Ashford. I know that last drive was big upon the ground game, but, you know, you get pulled back into game, 3rd down conversions. Credit that offense.
All of a sudden, it looks like they're having a lot more fun over on that Auburn sideline. As Carlson makes it a 7-point game, and Brandon Council was able to jog off to the sideline. That important for Auburn, but their ground game gets it going.
Yeah, Jarquez Hunter was a big part of it. Beautiful job of hitting the seam right up in the middle. And then they give it to their old reliable Tank Bigsby, 6 foot, 215 on the road. The Tigers are right back in it.
Talk about flipping the script for Auburn after putting up 28 yards of offense in the first quarter. They've got 166 yards of offense and a couple of touchdowns here in the second quarter.
It was really springboarded off that one big-time scramble and throw to Coy Moore by Robbie Ashford.
Short kick, running to the sideline. Knox gets run out of bounds. Pretty good field position, though, for Ole Miss. Let's check in with Matt.
Guys, this is one of those rare instances where one team's dominating and it's only 13-7, and now Michigan is losing because of this Curtis Jacobs pick 6 for Penn State. Penn State hadn't been able to do anything. Now they've got a 1-point lead near the end of the second quarter.
Defensive touchdowns. All right, they could change football games.
Oh, they're brutal. Pick 6s for a quarterback. Not fun.
Yeah, you're starting to get the shakes over there. I didn't mean to bring back any bad memories. Sorry.
Fun. Great highlight, Matt.
Quinshon Judkins to the left of Jackson Dart in the shotgun. There goes Judkins. They sealed the left side of that defensive line. He wasn't touched till he got well into Auburn territory. Donovan Kaufman eventually brought him down for 24.
And they pull 3 guys. You know, both Williams and Brocker, the left guard and left tackle. Judkins has a huge seam.
He takes it again. And this time dives forward for a gain of 3. Wrapped up by Morris Joseph.
Stay patient if you're Ole Miss with your run game. I know momentum swinging to Auburn, but that's who you are. Stay patient within it.
Judkins. The same dive. 2 yards shy of a first down.
You see that kind of like that dip down at the end of that run, though? That goes from taking it 3rd and 5 to like 3rd and 3. Just his ability to kind of get underneath the tackler and get an extra 2.
Handoff on 3rd and 3. Nothing doing. Driven back. He barely got back to the line of scrimmage. Colby Wooden came through to make the stop. Derek Hall as well. Now a decision. And it looks like without hesitation, Ole Miss is going for it. Play action. Dart on a roll. Lobs one down in the right corner. A jump ball. Broken up. Flag out. Casey Kelly, the intended receiver. And it looks like they might have Zion Puckett.
I don't know. I mean, this is close because it looks like Puckett doesn't make big contact, goes back for the football.
Pass interference, defense number 10. 15-yard penalty for the previous spot. Automatic first down.
That's a killer penalty on Zion Puckett on 4th down.
On the Auburn bench, half the distance to the goal. Again, it's first down.
And the frustration of the Auburn bench. A half the distance unsportsmanlike conduct penalty as well.
Bob, I can't sit here and say that looks like pass interference to me. That looks like a good contested play. Both guys having the opportunity to go for the football. That is a very tough call to take in if you're an Auburn fan.
Kiffin wanted the flag, he got it, and that resulted in an explosion on the Auburn bench. Brian Harsin made his feelings about the call known as well, so it's 1st and goal.
Unbalanced formation.
Judkins right up the middle, inside the 5.
You know, they've been so consistent down here in the red zone, Ole Miss offensively, of their run game in between their tackles. It'll be interesting to see if they get Jackson Dart out on the edge with a little bit of ball faking an easy touchdown throw.
Empty backfield with extra tight ends. Mingo in motion. They'll give it to him. It's a trick play. On the reverse. Trying to break tackles. Keeping the play alive. Jordan Watkins. He jitterbugs down to the 7-yard line and ends up losing about 3 yards. And on the far side of the field, Micah Pettis, the right tackle, is down and hurt.
Now you're trying to, it's really like that Philly special. You give it to Mingo. Then you give it to Watkins. He's got the opportunity to be a thrower to Dart. Credit Auburn not allowing him the ability to kind of get that throw off.
So after all of that, a loss of 3 and the right tackle down for Ole Miss.
Coming up on the Lexus Halftime Report, we'll have an update on Bryce Young ahead of Alabama's big game at Tennessee. Plus, the Big House has been entertaining against Penn State. By the way, Oklahoma, they scored 0 points last week against Texas. They already have 35 in the first half against Kansas. Joey Galloway joins me coming up on the Lexus Halftime Report.
Well, Matt, Ole Miss is looking for 28 as they have it 3rd down and goal at the 7-yard line, but they've got Micah Pettis on the sideline, so dipping a little deeper to the bench to fill up the right side of their offensive line. They've kicked Jeremy James, the right guard, out to right tackle and brought Eli Acker in at guard. 3rd down and goal.
You got to pay attention to this bunch set if you're Auburn defensively at all the crossing routes.
Dart, swing pass. Quinshon Judkins walks it in. Touchdown. He circled in motion and no one accounted for him. The Rebels back up by 2 scores.
And I circled that bunch, right? What you're going to get is all those guys become crossing routes for the defense to have to deal with traffic. And you got to go run through people, so you're going to get crosser, crosser, crosser. Now what's going to happen is when Judkins goes in motion, pay attention to everybody on the Auburn defense. See, they kick and they kick, but no one gets outside. See how they're pushing this way, but no one leverages the football. Everyone pays attention to the bunch. Judkins becomes uncovered in the flat, and it's the walk-in touchdown. But really happens because of that 4th down pass interference, right? The fadeaway from Jackson Dart thrown up to Kelly, and Zion Puckett called for that pass interference. I think that is a bad pass interference call. I see very little to no body contact. He certainly gets his head around. That's not pass interference. That's just a good contested play by both football players.
And normally, especially if you get your eyes back around, you're given the benefit of the doubt.
That doesn't matter, right?
It's a 50-50 ball, not in college, but it's still a 50-50 ball that I think the official's much less likely to throw the flag.
When you watch Kelly's body go up, there's no impact between him and Puckett, even like there's no shift in kind of momentum or anything. That's a missed call by these officials, and it has a huge impact on that drive.
Well, still plenty of time for Auburn to score before halftime. Hunter from the 1. And he gets tripped up just shy of the 20-yard line. So Auburn, couple of timeouts, 2:47 on the clock. And tonight's UFC Fight Night from the Apex in Las Vegas. We'll have the women's flyweight main event. The prelims start at 4:30 Eastern, 1 Pacific, followed by the main card at 7 on ESPN+. To get ESPN+, go to ESPNplus.com or download the ESPN app.
All right, so if you're Auburn offensively, you got 2 minutes, 47 seconds to go. Big thing for your offense. You cannot take any negative plays. If you're Robbie Ashford and you see a seam, you put your foot in the ground and run, no sacks.
Bigsby stood up after a gain of a couple, maybe 3 yards. Jared Ivey in the middle of that pile up for Ole Miss. And when they took Robbie Ashford, put him on the bench briefly, he has responded. Look at the before and after of that 1 possession benching.
Don't you feel like that's the most encouraging thing that's happened for Auburn? I mean, they've ran the ball really well, no doubt. But just the fact that your young quarterback faced adversity and then looked to respond to it, you got to love. I do not love this right now, though. We're talking 35-plus seconds pulled off this clock.
The crosser is Javarius Johnson. He's been quiet, but he gets out of bounds. About 2 yards shy of the first down. DeAndre Prince made the stop. That's the first catch for Johnson. And it's 3rd down and 2. We still have 2 minutes on the clock, and they've got 2 timeouts. and Auburn starts the third quarter with the football.
So I'll say this: if they get this third down conversion, then you got to go tempo. I mean, you got to think you're got to go score some points against an Ole Miss offense, right? So go get this conversion, then get into your 2-minute tempo.
Running away is Ashford. Loses his footing and goes down. A broken play. Otis Reese unaccounted for. And now you'd think Ole Miss would probably call a timeout from their sideline. Let's see. Looks like they have, with 1:32 to go.
Otis Reese, who's been all over the field this afternoon. Just off the edge, unblocked. Robbie Ashford's trying to roll into him. Then he tries to get away, slips off the surface. But that is a fantastic job by Ole Miss, kind of trigger pressuring off the edge. Now, Otis Reese, such a great story. Used to play some linebacker for this football team. He's got a Reese's NIL deal, which I would love to have.
So now you're about to put, with 1:34 and 2 timeouts, or rather 1 timeout left for Ole Miss, back on the field, the fastest paced offense in college football, and maybe with some field position as well. That negative play is going to force Oscar Chapman, who right now is number 2 in the SEC in punting average, but he's kicking this one from inside his own 10-yard line. Watkins wants a return. Makes the first couple of players miss. Flag down. He's to midfield and across the 50-yard line. But we'll have to check the penalty marker thrown back in the area where he made the catch. And it looks like this will be a block in the back called against Ole Miss.
Carry return, block in the back, receiving team number 16. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Here's a look at next Saturday's SEC Network college football lineup. It starts at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, with Tennessee taking on UT Martin in Knoxville, and then Vanderbilt and Missouri at 4 Eastern, 3 Central. And the SEC Saturday night matchup, Texas A&M and South Carolina. All 3 games are also available on the ESPN app.
Get the ball out of your hands if you're Jackson Dart. Be completion driven to start this 2-minute drive for your offense.
Play action. He wanted to set the screen up and finally does to Mingo. Lost the football. It bounces around. Is it intercepted on the carry? It looks like it's an Auburn takeaway. Keontae Scott ends up with the football as it bounced around in traffic. What a turn of events with 1:13 to go in the second quarter.
You're trying to get a perimeter screen to Mingo. Auburn is there. Dirt that football if you're Jackson Dart. Even if he catches that ball, the rhythm, the timing, the basis of the play is off. It's popped all over the field. And then Keontae Scott is there to finally get that interception.
Count the number of players the ball touches before it finally ends up with Keontae Scott. It's got to be about 5 different guys.
And as a quarterback, like, just get on the ground ball, okay? But you know what? That play is a little bit of an example of.
Going on the field is an intercepted pass. The previous play is under review.
Ooh, I think he kept it on that left thigh.
I agree. I don't know that ball ever touched the ground. Now,
right.
It doesn't look like he has it completely secure as he goes to the ground, but does the ball ever touch the ground?
Watch it get pinned on the left thigh right there.
On the field, it was ruled an interception. So you have to see that ball hit the ground on one of these looks to change the play or change the call that was made on the field.
See, I think he pins it with the left forearm onto the left thigh and keeps it from hitting the ground. But that play is a little bit of an example of, if you're Jackson Dart, you call the perimeter screen, and it's not there. Auburn's got 2 defenders in between you and the wide receiver. Instead of trying to allow him to find a small window and forcing and jamming it into him, just dirt the ball. You know, they won. The defense won. Sometimes the saying in football, they eat too. And you dirt the football and you call second down instead of trying to force it or jam it in to try to go make a play.
After further review, ruling on the field stands. First down, Auburn.
And that's the right call.
Yeah, absolutely. Great interception by Scott. And I think if you're Auburn right now, given the fact that there's a minute 13 on the clock and you still have 2 timeouts with the field position, you can lean on your run game still here a little bit. You do not have to become pass happy.
And Auburn gets the ball to start the second half as well.
Now you got 5 guys in the box versus Ole Miss. I'd run the football at him.
And they will with Bigsby. He looks to bounce it outside. Has to dodge a tackler at the line of scrimmage. And ends up being brought down by Austin Keys. Gain of a couple.
Be ready for pressure if you're Robbie Ashford. Especially Reese. He's been the guy that's been their blitzer.
Second down and a long 8 close to 9. Ashford has all day to throw. Nowhere to go with the football. Now he'll take it off and run. And he will get to the 26-yard line. About 3 yards shy of a first down. It'll be 3rd down and 3. And that stops the clock at 41 seconds.
Yeah, great job getting out of bounds. Really good coverage by Ole Miss. Remember, last 3rd and short, they got pressure. A little bit of a movement by the quarterback and no conversion. I think this is a situation you call 2 plays if you're Auburn. If they give you a light box Ole Miss defensively, let's run the football. If they want to play committed numbers and play man, let's become a passing team with slants.
It'll be Bigsby, and he is not going to get the first down. It's going to be 4th down and 2. J.J. Pegues made the stop. And I'm not sure that Brian Harson's going to pass up the opportunity for 3 by going for it. He will not. So he'll probably let the clock wind down and then call a timeout unless Lane Kiffin spends his last to make this field goal attempt the final play of the half. You can see Anders Carlson looking over as his coach is set to call a timeout and will now do so with 2 seconds to go in the first half. Well, for all of the controversy right now in the Auburn program surrounding the future of their head coach, he was asked flat out in a press conference a couple of weeks ago if he thinks he's even going to last the season. That's a tough world for this program to live in right now. And how about the response down 21-0 at one point?
Yeah, so you're coming off of a week where you played Georgia pretty tough as well. As a football team, certainly defensively, and then the response by his young quarterback and his football team here with the potential to get within 11 points. I enjoyed our time with Brian Harsin. I really did. I was impressed by the way he communicated. I was impressed by his vision, the way he talked about his football team. I'm a fan.
Carlson from 42 to try and end the half with points for Auburn, and he will do just that. So the takeaway becomes a field goal. It's an 11-point game at halftime. And it's time to head back to Matt Barry in the studio, the halftime report.
Bob Wischusen, thank you so much. It is the Lexus halftime report. Let's begin with Iowa State and Tech.
To ESPN College Football presented by Marathon. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. A big party this morning outside in the Grove. Plenty for the Ole Miss fans to cheer about at times in the first half, but a lot of fight being shown by Auburn. Down at one point, 21-0. They get it back, starting the third quarter with the football to 28-17. Bob Wischusen, Dan Orlovsky, and Chris Budden here at the Vaught. And this will come out to the 25-yard line to begin the second half as we take a look, Dan, at today's road test. Brought to you by Goodyear, and Robbie Ashford showed a lot of fight in the first half as well.
It was a rough start for both him and this Auburn offense, and then you see him kind of get benched for a series. And then the spark got lit. Great third down plays with his legs, down in the end zone or the red zone, the zone read. Tank Bigsby, physical, And then their defense gets a turnover on a bobbled interception that they turned to 3 points late. And from 21-0, it turned into 28-17. And at least Brian Harson's Tigers have an opportunity here to start this second half.
A chance to string together back-to-back possessions as Damari Alston picks up a couple on the jet sweep. And just before the end of halftime, Brian Harsin spoke with Chris.
Coach, you sit Robbie Ashford for a series. What did you see from him after that?
Well, we took care of the football better. He's competing, using his legs. We're able to run the football in the first half. We got to come out and do it in the second half. But ultimately, just take care of the football, keep operating the offense, and doing what he's been doing. You
changed practice this week specifically for better second halves. What do you need to see early?
Well, it goes back to us taking care of the ball. It goes back to us running the football. A lot we just did. But coming out and playing with a little bit of tempo is what we need to do in the second half here. And just go out there and execute. Everybody do their job, play confident, go out there and have some fun. That's what we got to do in the second half.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, having some fun there was Ashford out of the pocket. He hits the true freshman Jay Fair to midfield. That's his first catch of the year.
Yeah, but I loved, like, he got to the line of scrimmage and almost gave a dummy, hey, here comes, I'm running something at the line and I'm checking to a run. They go bootleg, and then they hit Jay Fair. Some of these freshman receivers right now stepping up for Auburn, Omari Kelly and Jay Fair. Here comes that tight end wing up top.
Bigsby runs the opposite way and finds a crease. Inside the 30 with a cutback. Breaks a tackle. Inside the 10. Goal line. Touchdown. 50-yard scamper for Tank Bigsby. What a start to the second half for Auburn. Tank Bigsby did not have 50 yards rushing in any game this season against a Power 5 opponent. He just cracked 50 in the end zone on one carry. And we've got a football game.
What a start for Auburn's offense. What a beautiful job of Council on the block. Bigsby sees a cut. The Tigers are right back in it on the road.
Well, tonight, top-ranked boxing comes from the Rod Laver Arena in Melbourne, Australia. The main event has the undisputed lightweight champ, American Devin Haney, squaring off against Aussie George Kambosos Jr. for the second time this year. Coverage of the main card begins at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Plus. State and Wade. Kickoff return to the 23-yard line. Bob Wischusen, Dan Orlovsky, and Chris Budden here at Vaught Hemingway Stadium. In Oxford, when it was 21-0. I can't imagine we thought we were going to end up a game that looked like anything with what we have now, but how about some credit to that Auburn sideline and how they fought back?
It's been incredible to watch that young quarterback kind of lead them. That big third down scramble, toss to Coy Moore kind of injected some energy into them. They've run the football incredibly well, and also their defense. You know, their defense has found a way to get a 3-and-out and also create a turnover. Now the pressure kind of swings to Ole Miss and having to deal with this momentum.
Dart on a keeper. And a good run to start this drive. He picks up a first down, close to 17 yards. Donovan Kaufman made the stop.
This is an offense, really a football team in Ole Miss that dealt with some adversity last week on the road versus Vanderbilt. Did not come out and play well, and they handled it and bounced back. I'll be very interested to see how they handle this second half.
Cut back for Zach Evans. He breaks a tackle, gets across the midfield stripe.
Watch Evans cut back, and then Puckett comes in, high tackle. Something about this Auburn defense, and talking to Brian Harsin and their defensive coordinator, Jeff Schmedding, is they really wanted to tackle lower this week. It's got to show up in the second half.
Another running lane. Zach Evans muscling his way down the sideline to the 30-yard line of Auburn. 15 more. Evans again. And this time only able to manage 3. It'll be 2nd down and 7. Wesley Steiner on the stop. But it looks like Colby Wooden might be down. Or is that Derek Hall? That's Derek Hall shaken up. That would be a big player for this Auburn defense to lose as we step aside. The hopes were very high when Brian Harsin took over the Auburn program December 22nd, 2020. And they remained high with a 6-2 start and 2 losses to top 10 teams. But then to lose the final 5 games of last season, the bottom certainly fell out. A heartbreaker to Alabama. This season, 1-3 against Power 5 opponents, being outscored 118-56. Dan, has led to him being asked in press conferences, as he was last week, if he thinks he'll even make it through the season, almost being taken for granted, as if he's going to lose his job after the year is over. That can't be an easy way for the players to operate, the coaching staff to operate, but they have fought valiantly today.
Yeah, not a great conversation around both him and his family this offseason. Candidly, I thought they were done dirty. But I loved his message when he was talking about, listen, coaches coach because they love it. And I love coaching. I love coaching at Auburn. I don't want them to become tight because of the narrative around me or his job security.
Dart on a keeper, close to a 1st down. Ridden out by Donovan Kaufman, the Vanderbilt transfer. And it looks like he's about a half-yard shy. Picked up 6.5.
And Chris talked about a pregame too. Like they want to have fun, you know, and he even referenced he believes that Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss are winning because how much fun they're having. So in the midst of turmoil and chaos, he's preaching that to his program.
1st down carry as Owen Papo brings down Zach Evans. Now Derek Hall, before we went away, was able to walk off to the sideline. And we'll keep our eyes and see if he's able, and he is able to get back on the field, so that's good news. He was out for maybe a play or 2, but there he is back in at his normal edge defensive position. 1st down in the red zone. Play action, 1-on-1, back shoulder, broken up. Nehemiah Pritchett, excellent coverage on Malik Heath.
Yeah, good throw, great coverage. You're going to get a red zone fade, back shoulder. Off the release, you see Heath, it's even. That ball is right on his kind of left hip, and Pritchett does a good job of just getting that right arm in there. I'd love to see that ball a little bit higher and a little bit more away if you're Jackson Dart.
Swing pass, Jordan Watkins. About 3, maybe 4 yards shy of the 1st down. Let's see where they spot it, just outside the 10-yard line. Derek Hall is out there to help on the stop. So 3rd down, 3.5.
And you got to think this is 4-down territory for this Ole Miss offense.
They run a toss to Evans. Stiff arm. They stretch him out. He gets right to the 7-yard line. That might be good enough for the 1st down. It looks like he got just to the line to gain. Hapo made the stop. 1st and goal.
Bridges is going to come right from the left side of your screen there. Have the chance. Great stiff arm by Evans. And he makes Kaufman miss, and then just enough to get that 1st down. We've really seen them pound the football down here in this inside the 10-yard red zone situationally. This team scored 28 points, and I don't think Jonathan Mingo has a reception coming off of a game where he had 250.
Play action, back of the end zone, looking for Mingo, and 2 players for Auburn absolutely full speed waffled each other. Donovan Kaufman and DJ James, and they're both slow to get up. That's only the 2nd target of Jonathan Mingo today, and he is without a catch after breaking the school record against Vanderbilt of Elijah Moore with 247 yards last week.
This is lucky for Jackson Dart. I mean, he's just throwing this ball no matter what. The defense does not bite. There's great coverage. Thankfully, he throws it for himself high enough where there's no ability to make a play on the ball. Little tug right there by DJ James, and you see the collision between him and Kaufman. And that's Again, I've said this about Jackson Dart, crazy talented, but sometimes you believe the play call because Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr. are such good minds that you're like, oh, this is going to be open. It was open 7 times in practice. And lucky to get away with one there. Even Charlie Weiss said yesterday, sometimes in practice when they've got a play they like, they make sure the scout team defense gives him the worst case scenario look so he realizes, okay, just because it's a great design doesn't mean it's going to be there.
Not even 30 years old yet. He's calling plays with Lane Kiffin.
He's a stud, man.
Donovan Kaufman stays in the game. Zach Evans, he is wrapped up by Steiner. He picked up 2. It's going to be 3rd down and goal at the 5-yard line. Again, DJ James, of the 2 Auburn players that collided, the one that took the worst of it, he's over on the sideline.
Saw this bunch set last time. There you go. There's that bunch set. You'd have to run through traffic if you're Auburn defensively.
Dart, incomplete for Mingo. Now it's 4th and goal from the 5.
They should kick this if you're Ole Miss. That's a good drive and go kind of make it a 7-point game. But Jackson Dart just a little hoppy on his drop. You can see Lane Kiffin a little bit disappointed right there. Knows that he had Mingo for a touchdown.
The transfer from Charlotte, Jonathan Cruz. 4 of 5 so far on the season for Ole Miss. His only miss from outside 50 yards. From 23 yards out. And it's right down the middle. So the Ole Miss lead back up to a touchdown, but a stop in the red zone for the Auburn defense.
And the Auburn defense makes the stop, but if you're Jackson Dart, watch his feet. Calm them down. Watch how hop he is and mechanically poor. Hop, 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 shifting for no reason. You're fading away to your left. You throw high and behind Mingo. 7-point lead for the Rebels at home. All right, back here in Oxford, just watch the feet and the drift by Jackson Dart. Not settled, his body's going to the left, misses that throw to Mingo. Now watch Lane Kiffin's reaction right after this kick. But you're gonna, like, you'll see the coach knows.
A surprise onside kick. Trying to steal a possession. Ole Miss, and it looks like they've done it. That ball just barely traveled the necessary 10 for it to become live. Auburn surprised. And Lane Kiffin rolls the dice on special teams, and they steal one back.
Well, this is coaching and this is scouting. A great onside kick, just a little kiss, a little tap, and that ball definitely goes 10 yards. This is what special teams, look at how soft this area is over here. That guy's 15 yards away from the kick. As long as the ball goes 10, he's actually 20 yards away from the kick.
Redshirt freshman Brandon Buckhalter, backup wide receiver. Set for the recovery.
Hey, that's great coaching, man. I'm not going to lie, because they realized that Auburn return guy or front man guy was going to be 20 yards away from the ball. There was that soft spot, so to speak. And it's a great job of taking advantage of it right there. Now Lane's probably a little bit happier than he was after that miss.
Going on the field was recovery by the kicking team. After the ball traveled 10 yards, the previous play is under review.
They're going to make sure it did travel 10 yards. Certainly looked like it did. Buckhalter waited until it got past the 45-yard line. And talk about from agony to ecstasy for Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, great job by Buckhalter, man.
We've got a pretty good look here. This is just about right down the 45-yard line.
Yep, great job.
There before he touched it. Yep.
Yeah.
Certainly worth looking at, as that is an amazing momentum-changing play.
How about the kick? That's a great kick by Cruz. I mean, you want it to literally go 10 yards. You don't want it to go 13, and obviously cannot go 9. So just the ability to kind of make that.
Ruling on the field is confirmed. First down on this.
So here's the reaction of Lane Kiffin to the dart miss of Mingo.
With a little bit of a donkey kick. Disappointed. It's there, and then now everything's back to being good.
All is well.
I'm a big Lane Kiffin guy, man.
He's a very interesting offensive mind, especially to talk to. As his offense is back on the field, little zone read, and Judkins across midfield, close to a first down, and a late flag thrown.
I think you might get Casey Kelly with a little bit of a hold in the slot from Ole Miss.
Holding, offense number 81. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Complete first down.
I'd be interested, you know, Ole Miss has not taken a shot here. I'd be interested to see if we get one of their vintage play action shots coming.
You think they have it set up?
They've got it, yeah. Oh yeah, they've got it. Look how low these safeties are. Both of them are aggressive and low.
Spot foul, 10-yard penalty, makes it 1st and 12. And Judkins was hit hard by Wesley Steiner. Still able to slip forward for a yard or two. So it's going to be 2nd down and close to 10, called 2nd down and 9. He takes it again. And the true freshman's got nowhere to go. Morris Joseph buries him at the line of scrimmage. Now it's 3rd down and long.
Good job by the Auburn defensive line of just muddying that look for Judkins. Nowhere to go.
Blitz. Quarterback run. Dart makes a man miss and picks up the first down. Lost the football. It's on the deck. Who's got it? It looks like Ole Miss may have gotten it back. It looked like he lost control as he went down. Nick Broker, the left guard, was there to recover.
Steiner runs right by him. He's got big bodies leading out front. Shakes off that first tackle, and then the ball gets punched out. Did Kaufman try to just pick it up instead of fall on it? Watch number 1 right there. Kaufman goes down.
Quarterback run again. Dart slides and picks up 5 yards. Dan, I think you're right. I think Donovan Kaufman got a little greedy there.
Yeah. Instead of just popping down, if he pops down on it, it's Auburn's football.
A little detail lost in the game that won't show up in the box score, but could change the game if a player does what he's probably been taught since Pop Warner,
100%,
right?
yeah.
Fall on the ball in traffic.
Watch this backside safety versus this run look for a play action shot.
Judkins falls forward for a couple. Colby Wooden got him around the ankles. It's another 3rd down coming for Ole Miss.
Man, I've called for the play action shot twice, and I will say this: you got to admire Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr.'s just deliberate commitment to run the football. I mean, they're getting good looks to take their shot, and they're waiting for it, but they have stayed committed to that.
Best team in the SEC on 3rd down, Ole Miss. They're 7 for 12 today. Right up the middle goes Dart, a terrific fake into the red zone. 1st down at the 12-yard line.
This is called quarterback crunch. You're going to pull the backside guard and the backside tackle. He's going to read the defense. It flows that way. He's got 2 lead blockers out in front.
Judkins inside the 5-yard line. Second down and 3 from the 5. Judkins again. Bulldogs his way with a push out of the end zone for a touchdown. Lane Kiffin rolls the dice. Surprise onside kick.
Yeah.
Jonathan Cruz and Brandon Buckhalter combine to steal a possession and a 9-play drive, all runs for the touchdown. And the lead back up to 2 scores for Ole Miss.
It all started with Cruz and rolled the dice, as you said, Bob. Onside kick. Beautiful job recovery for Ole Miss's special teams unit. The perfect call at the perfect moment. and then 9 straight run plays, a little bit of the backs, a little bit of Jackson Dart, and then watch Judkins lower his pads, keep his feet moving. The big fellas get a push, and Ole Miss takes the special teams play into a touchdown. And look at Lane Kiffin, fired up. Fist pumps, leg kicks, and then the band.
Well described later today on ABC. 2 more important games at 3:30 Eastern. The Big 12 matchup of the day, Oklahoma State and TCU. And then the Saturday night football game presented by Capital One and Tallahassee, Florida State, number 4 Clemson at 7:30. Again, Pat McAfee and his crew will be over highlighting that game on ESPN2 as well.
This place is rocking right now, Bobby.
This league is hard, right? I mean, a program that right now has a coach being asked about his job security against an undefeated team, and you got the Lane Kiffin kicking surprise onside kicks just to try and take some momentum back. And this will go through the back of the end zone, courtesy of Jonathan Cruz. Back to Matt Barry.
Okay, guys, updating you on some of the second half action. Michigan now starting to pull away from Penn State. Penn State went for it on 4th and 6 from that spot of the field. Blake Corum takes advantage of the bad decision. 61 yards later, now 31-17 Maize and Blue over Penn State. We've got a situation developing between Iowa State and Texas. Hunter Decker's 3rd and 9 keeps it himself. And the Cyclones have regained the lead, 21-17 over on ABC.
Boy, a lot of good football games going on right now in the world of college football, and we will see if Robbie Ashford, and once again this offense for Auburn, can respond down by 2 scores as Tank Bigsby finds room for a yard.
Right now, Auburn has run for over 190 yards if you take away the sacks. And Ole Miss playing without Cedric Johnson, number 2, one of their star defensive ends. You know, Vanderbilt ran it relatively well on them last week, and they made an adjustment, 3-man front to 4-man front in the second half. Now they're back to their 3-man front after they dabbled with it a little bit in the second quarter. They got to get some push by that group.
They'll run at the 3-man front. And a gang tackle of Tank Bigsby after 2 yards that time. So it'll be 3rd down and 7 as Isheem Young, the Iowa State transfer, hit him first. So Auburn's 3 for 8 on 3rd down.
Yeah, their defense is playing with a little bit more energy right now if you're Ole Miss. He's gone to some of his freshmen if you're Robbie Ashford. Freshman here, freshman here.
Only a 3-man rush. Ashford from the pocket, eyes downfield, up the seam, in stride. He's got Luke Deal, the tight end. His 2nd catch of the season, and what a big one it is, 34 yards.
Yeah, you get a switch release out the slot. You're gonna get this release and that. Watch this safety at the bottom of the screen, the top of the screen. He drives, he's gonna replace him, and then it's a huge chunk by Robbie Ashford.
Back to Bigsby. 5 yards on 1st down.
I mean, this is one of the worst teams in America on 3rd down offensively. You know, since the game that they played against Ole Miss last year, in the second half, on 3rd downs against Power 5 opponents, they are 13 of 60. 13 of 60. They have a 3rd of those conversions today. Eric Keesaw, their play callers, dialed them up, and Robbie Ashford has delivered.
This time they'll give it to Jarquez Hunter. And they'll have another 3rd down to try and convert. Isheem Young made the stop. It'll be 3rd down and 2. And to your point, Dan, I mean, even factor in opponents like Troy, or rather Mercer and San Jose State on Auburn's schedule. With all games included, they're 114th and 3rd down conversions.
Yeah.
And they've been better today.
And they made some big plays. Not only just getting necessary yardage for a conversion, but they've made some big splash plays.
We have a defensive injury for Ole Miss. So let's take a look at this week's college football AP rankings, brought to you by AT&T 5G. during the injury timeout. Georgia will take on Vanderbilt coming up a little bit later on. Ohio State idle, and Alabama, Tennessee. That is certainly the game of the day in college football. Oklahoma, TCU, a good one as well. And Michigan, a battle of top 10 teams, has retaken control against Penn State.
We had Tennessee last week, right? And we saw them go into LSU and just absolutely hammer them. I'm excited to watch that game, whether Bryce Young for Alabama plays or not, because I said 2 weeks ago, I think Tennessee could beat them. I think Alabama's vulnerable on the perimeter defensively. They've got some playmakers for Tennessee. They're a good football team. I think you're 4-down territory right now if you're Auburn mindset-wise. If this is a 3rd-down play call, you 100% allow your quarterback's legs in the zone read world to be a part of it.
Ole Miss already without Cedric Johnson, defensive end today. Jared Ivey was the injured player walking off the field. Ashford, quarterback run on 3rd down. He gets that and then some. Inside the 10, tight ropes the sideline. He stepped out. They rule him out of bounds just shy of the 10-yard line.
Yeah, he steps out right around the 10.5-yard line. What a great design and play call, getting it to their bunch set and running the quarterback.
Looks like they put the ball right at the 10-yard line, so this is goal to go. Hunter, met in the backfield, fights his way maybe back to the line of scrimmage. Ashanti Sistrunk got there first. That's a loss of a half yard at least.
I think if you're Ole Miss defensively right now, you really got to make sure that when you play your 3-man front and you're going to drop 8 guys, everyone's got to do a much better job of making sure Ashford doesn't have the freedom to feel like he can take off and use his legs. Got to have vision at some point, make a decision. You go force his hand and allow him or force him to tuck the ball and become a runner.
2nd and goal from the 11. He becomes a runner here. He's got a clear lane to the end zone. Robbie Ashford has an Auburn touchdown. His 2nd rushing touchdown of the day. This is an offense that benched their quarterback for a drive in the first half.
2.5 hours ago.
And they are going toe-to-toe with a top 10 team on the road. Still 2.5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, and Auburn has 31 on the board.
It really starts with that 3rd down play call. That bunch where Robbie Ashford comes out and becomes a perimeter player on quarterback run, and the disappointment of going out of bounds. But this is what I was talking about, just a little bit of making sure everyone has vision on the quarterback. You can see I'm disappointed. I can't believe I went out of bounds. But when you got a quarterback that's hot with his legs, no one's paying attention to him. There's a seam, and then it's a walk-in untouched touchdown.
Boy, every time I'm sure this Ole Miss crowd feels like the Rebels have stretched this to an insurmountable lead. It's finally the knockout punch. War Eagle has had an answer every time, and it's back to a 1-score game.
Robbie Ashford right now is 6 of 8 for 131 yards. He's ran for another probably 60, 70 plus yards. He's been fantastic.
It'll be a touchback after the kickoff from Carlson. Back to Matt.
All right, guys, plenty of action still in this noon window. You see Coastal Carolina on ESPNU. They're undefeated. They're not ranked, but they're down to ODU in the 4th quarter. Kansas trying to hang around with Oklahoma. That's got a ton of points. If you can do the math there, that's 70. And Iowa State on ABC trying to upset Texas. All of that going on around ABC, ESPN, ESPN2.
Well, Matt, we have a battle here. It's a touchdown that separates Ole Miss and Auburn. 2.5 minutes to go in the 3rd. Fake toss. Jackson Dart. That ball batted up in the air, and it falls incomplete. Keontae Scott knocked down the Jackson Dart attempt.
Great job by Scott timing that jump. Hands goes up. Both hands go up, and that ball gets batted down. Ole Miss trying to get a little creative faking the toss, and credit Keontae Scott, who's had a really good this afternoon of being around the football.
There's a toss to Zach Evans. He picks up close to 5. They'll mark him down at the 29-yard line, so a gain of 4. So 3rd down and 6 now for Ole Miss.
Bring Mengo in the slot.
4-man rush. Bullet pass. First down. Dayton Wade makes a catch backing up to move the chains on 3rd down.
I love the rhythm from Jackson Dart. Catch the snap. It's a little bit of a hop back. Foot goes into ground, and Wade sits in the soft zone.
And off to Evans. He's close to another first down. Picks up 9. Owen Papo. 9 double-figure tackle games for the Auburn defense this season. Papo has 5 of them. He's a tackle machine. He brought him down there. And this play blown dead at the line. This may be a false start.
I think they're going to get Kelly again, just a little bit.
Snap infraction, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
I think if you're Auburn defensively right now, you can't sit here and think your front four is going to hold down this run game. I mean, they've run for over 300 yards if you're Ole Miss. You got to start dialing up some run stunts where you're bringing an extra guy and slanting your defensive line.
Now it's Judkins. He has 3. That brings Judkins up to 82 yards rushing. Dart has 90. Evans has 89. Even Wade on those jet sweeps has 52 yards rushing.
4 guys over 50, 3 guys over 80.
3rd down and 3. Judkins breaks 1 tackle. Very close to the first down. Wesley Steiner got through first.
Oh, great balance by Judkins on the left leg. If you're short in your Lane Kiffin, you're going for this.
It is short, and they are lining up to go for it on 4th down and less than a yard. Judkins. It looks like he got just enough. He submarined for a yard. Derek Hall brought him down. But that's a first down for Ole Miss.
It's the same look that we saw a little bit in the first half. He's just got this unique ability to get underneath tackles. I mean, Hall is there to make the play behind that first down marker, and he just does an awesome job of dipping underneath it.
And that will allow them at least 1 more snap here, it looks like, before the end of the 3rd quarter. Down to the last 10 seconds of the quarter. See if Ole Miss gets lined up in time to snap it. 5 seconds to go. And it looks now Lane Kiffin is going to put up the stop signal and say, let's not rush, and let's just end the 3rd quarter with a midfield first down. So we head to the 4th. So many momentum swings between Ole Miss and Auburn. Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. The streets quiet in Oxford, as you would expect, because they're all on the vault as we start the 4th quarter. Separated by only a touchdown. Ole Miss and Auburn, the number 9 team, being given as much of a battle as anyone could possibly have expected out of Auburn through 3 quarters. First down near midfield. Trick play, a reverse. Wade met and spins out of a tackle at midfield. It looks like he may have a first down. Zion Puckett couldn't bring him down, and now Puckett's hurt.
Look at Wade. Bop! Him and Puckett meet. Puckett looks like to try to rip the ball out, and Wade keeps going. He called their shot coming out of that end of quarter. And Puckett, who's had a really good afternoon for Auburn defensively, down.
So while Puckett is being looked at. We'll step aside. Taco Bell Liv Moss student section has been on their feet all afternoon. Student sections across the country are competing to be the Liv Moss student section of the year all season long. It's always one of the best dressed student sections.
You know, they say never live life with regrets. I regret not going to the Grove today.
You'll get another chance.
No regrets, bud.
Judkins now the tailback after the injury timeout. Straight ahead run. Inside the 35. A gain of 7.
They're doing such a good job of using that jet motion while also kind of bringing the tight end from one side of the field to the other, forcing Auburn's defense to just see a lot.
And now it's Keontae Scott that is down. And this is not a deep Auburn defense. They just lost Zion Puckett during the last timeout. He's still over on the sideline. Now Keontae Scott down in the very next play, and let's go back to Matt Barry.
Okay, Bob, this game between Iowa State and Texas continues to be good here. 4th and goal. Texas has to go for it. A strike to Xavier Worthy. 24-21. Texas back on top late fourth quarter.
Are people going to kill that play call like they did Jimbo's last week and the one with the Bears the other night? Because it's the same exact route that just worked.
Puckett was down for a long time. And Keontae Scott, a 2-time JUCO All-American out of Snow Community College in Utah, joining this Auburn defense. And he is now still down. Let's take a look at the SEC Spotlight, brought to you by T-Mobile, while we have a chance. For the 11th time, the Crimson Tide and Vols will meet as top 10 opponents. And Nick Saban has been perfect to this point against Tennessee. LSU and Florida in prime time later on tonight on ESPN at 7 Eastern. And a ranked matchup tonight on the SEC Network as well between Mississippi State and Kentucky.
Wonder if Will Levis plays for Kentucky, a team that Ole Miss and their fans know well. Had an incredible game 2 weeks ago, and then obviously they're going to play Mississippi State on Thanksgiving weekend. You know, you mentioned Keontae. Keontae Scott is a player that came here actually late from JUCO and has become really an integral part of their defense. He's been great ever since he's got here, and losing Puckett from the series before, who's an ex-linebacker and probably coming off of the best game of his career when it comes to tackles last week. So you're talking about both of your safety and your nickel now out in the secondary. The question does Ole Miss try to attack it?
That's a good sign, though. Zion Puckett just giving his teammates and his coaches on the sideline the thumbs up. It looks like he wants to get back in the game. But Keontae Scott slowly being walked back over to the bench. So after that injury timeout, Judkins up the middle, brought down short. Jason Jones with the stop. 3rd down and 2 coming now for Ole Miss.
This is where quarterback runs on the table for Ole Miss. We've seen them kind of use that zone read, pull backside defenders. Jackson Dart's done a really good job being a decision maker in that, running for 90 yards today. I will say again, this is 4-down territory for Ole Miss.
Judkins, extra effort and a push. Very close. It looks like he might be a half-yard shot. Let's see. Now the official on the far side moves right up to the line to gain, and without measurement, they say 1st down.
Yeah, just watch Judkins on initial contact. He gets hit right there. 3 yards from where he ends up. His feet keep moving. See how his lower half is so strong. Looks like he got right to that 30-yard line.
That was a good call. The ball got right to the 30-yard line. 12th play of this drive.
I say take advantage and take shots at these safeties.
Dart, incomplete. Off the hands of Casey Kelly. But how about the versatility being shown by this Ole Miss offense? Last week, Jackson Dart threw for 448 yards.
Yep.
That's the 5th most in Ole Miss history. Today, they've run for 336 yards.
Yeah, I mean, they're the most balanced offense in football, certainly college-wise. They run for 242 and throw for 248 every game.
A little down and out. And a catch made by Jordan Watkins. So here's another third down coming for Ole Miss. They are 10 of 16. Third down and 5 to try to keep this drive alive.
Here's Watkins lined up as a back.
Judkins instead. He'll be short. And now it's fourth down and a good 3 yards. Colby Wooden made the stop and headed right to the sideline. He looks to be shaken up as well.
I'd go for this if I was Ole Miss. Stay aggressive.
If you kick the field goal from here, you're up by 2 scores. They're going to go for it on fourth down. Timeout called by Auburn from the sideline.
Prior to the snap, timeout, Auburn. First timeout of the half.
Fourth down and 3 when we come back.
ESPN College Football is presented by Marathon. Get the most out of your drive. And in part by Cheez-It. Cheesy, crunchy satisfaction.
John Howard Vaughts, Ole Miss of 1962, the magical 10-0 season. Beat Arkansas in the Sugar Bowl, finished third in the AP poll, with USC finishing at number 1. And when you have a season like that, put your name on the stadium. Lane Kiffin, after the timeout by Auburn, decided to take his offense off the field. They're going to try a 42-yard field goal here to make it a 2-score game after all. Jonathan Cruz. Right down the pipe. So it's a 10-point lead for Ole Miss as we go back to Matt.
All right, guys, as we near the end of this noon window, want to remind you, coming up on ESPN, Arkansas traveling to Provo to take on BYU. KJ Jefferson back in the lineup for Woo Pig. As we get close to the bottom of the hour, we'll kind of tell you when that game kicks off if you're not done yet. And then over on ABC, one of 3 undefeated matchups today, Oklahoma State, TCU in the Big 12, getting buckled up for that 3:30 window on that car ride to the Memphis airport for Big Game Bob with shoes in.
Oh, we got news for you,
Yeah,
Bob.
Matt might have to take a look at the flight times.
Yeah.
Reroute us a little further east into a different time zone. Having said that, speaking of time, how about the timeout called by Auburn?
Yeah.
That now changes Lane Kiffin's strategy. Instead of going for it on fourth down, he opts to take the 3.
I would have been aggressive there on fourth down. 1, my offense is clicking, and 2, my defense hasn't stopped anyone. I understand getting that 10-point advantage, but right now, if you're Auburn offensively, you feel good with your quarterback is done, and that's why I love the aggressive onside attempt, and I would have been aggressive there on fourth down.
It'll come out to the 25-yard line for the Tigers. And Chris Budd and Robbie Ashford back out there again, down by only 10.
Yeah, you know, a light went off for this team during practice this week. Brian Harsin has told his guys, you look at the tape, you see Ole Miss having fun. You can't win if you're not having fun. Granted, it's hard to do that when you're losing, but Harsin said, it's my job to get you in that spot. And you see how that's paid off for Ashford. They sit him for a series. He talks to his coach. He gets time alone. And ever since then, it's been a completely different attitude on the sidelines. He's laughing, he's joking, he's trying to pump up his teammates. A completely different quarterback since that moment.
His feet have been significantly quieter in the last 2.5 quarters than they were to start this game.
Helped out by a 100-yard day as well from Bigsby. He adds to it. Bigsby down the sideline. A huge chunk run here for Auburn. Finally goes down close to the 25-yard line of Ole Miss. 50 yards.
Out of bounds at the Ole Miss 25.
What you're going to do is you're going to get this guy's going to go jet motion and this tight end is going to release. Now watch the impact it has. You collapse down this side, this defender comes here, and there's that seam for Tank Bigsby. Great cutback vision. You got lead blockers out front. You force the defense to stretch horizontally and you hit them up inside with the seam.
Hunter. And he gets waffled after a gain of only a yard.
You know, touching on Chris's kind of report of Brian Harsin, I think the big thing when you ask him, you know, where are you guys? And they were on this journey this past week of figuring out why we aren't blocking and tackling and catching and running. And he said, not only that, but we had to get rid of the I don't knows. If you could tell the coach I did this and you give him a reason why, he can sit there and coach you. But when you say I don't know, that's when they really struggle to help you get better. Bunch.
Hunter on a toss. Breaking tackles, still on his feet. Inside the 5-yard line before he's finally brought down. Jarquez Hunter slips for 20, and it's 1st and goal Auburn.
Just a toss, played at the bunch. You get a nice little push, and then watch Hunter just body on body tackles, and that's not going to bring him down. 210-pound sophomore from Philadelphia have to go low.
Ladarius Tennyson saved a touchdown. Hunter again. To the 2-yard line.
Ole Miss has done a really poor job in the red zone today of having the eyes on the quarterback. Someone's got to be responsible for him, disciplined with that, and making sure that you have at least the opportunity to play one-on-one football.
Hunter had a flat tire, lost his shoe, just got it back on. Instead, it's a run for Ashford. He's got nowhere to go. Thrown down by Tennyson. They lost about 4 yards.
Watch Robbie Ashford go zone read. He pulls it, and then credit Ole Miss defensively to have everybody around the football flying to it, having vision on that quarterback.
Ran right into his left tackle, Killian Zero.
Yeah, Bob, so the last time they had 3rd down here, remember, Robbie Ashford scrambled. If you're Ole Miss, you can't get past the quarterback on your pass rush. Stay in front of them, and you can't have people turning their back to the quarterback running away.
Play clock winding down at 5. See if Harsin calls timeout. They get the snap off. Ashford rolls out. Nope. I think a timeout might have been called from the sideline unless they drop a flag for a false start. They did.
False start. Offense. Not all 11 players were checked for 4 seconds.
Auburn was slow coming out of the huddle.
Yeah.
I think they looked up and realized the play clock was winding down, rushed, and that results in a penalty.
Yeah, the receiver up at the top wasn't set. They actually had to get somebody out of the huddle to make sure that they only had 11 people in there. You know, if you're Robbie Ashford right now, you got points. So while you want to be aggressive, trust your eyes. You don't want to be reckless. And I'll say it again, Ole Miss, you can't turn your back on this quarterback. Don't rush past him, stay in front. And when he becomes a scrambler, have vision on him.
Again, the play clock winding down. 3rd and goal. Ashford rolls out, wanted a throwback. It wasn't there, throws it away. Pressured into a throwaway by Tavius Robinson. And now 4th and goal from the 11, so Auburn no choice but to settle for 3. After a couple of snaps earlier, they were down inside the 3-yard line. Anders Carlson. 28 yards out to again make it a 1-score game. And the Ole Miss lead once again down to 7 with just over 9 minutes to go.
Ole Miss takes a 10-point lead. Auburn comes right down the field. I know you're disappointed, young fella. That's the right play. You're right back in this game. Auburn, Ole Miss.
.9:05 to go in the 4th quarter here in Oxford. There is lightning within about 8 miles of the stadium. So we have to take a few of our cameramen from their high perches and get them down to safety until the weather passes. Not close enough to stop the game, but our game coverage is going to look a little bit different to you between now and when those guys are able to return to where they're normally able to shoot the game from, with Ole Miss on top by 7, 41-34. Auburn has now scored on their last 4 possessions And 6 of the last 7 times, Dan, they've had the ball. Remember, they were down 21-0 at one point in the first half.
If you're Auburn defensively, you really want to force this Ole Miss pass game with Jackson Dart to beat you over the next 9 minutes. Their run game has been fantastic today, almost 340 yards. Both Evans, Judkins, and then the addition of Jackson Dart. I think if you're Auburn, at some point you're going to have to roll the dice and come after this offense.
Of course, Ole Miss has scored on 7 of their last 9 possessions as well. A toss to Quinshon Judkins. Or check that, Zach Evans. And a cutback for a gain of close to 8 yards on first down. Again, the Lightning causing us to take some of our cameramen out of their normal spots. Zach Evans lines up as the lone setback. Instead, it's a run for Dart. He turns the corner, and he's got a first down. Out of bounds over to the 40-yard line. Run out by Donovan Kaufman.
Kind of a little bit like early on in this football game in Ole Miss, pushing the ball run game-wise to the perimeter. You saw the pitch to Evans, now the zone read, and Dart gets outside on the perimeter.
Zach Evans is the lone setback to the right of Dart in the shotgun. And now what we like to call the moron disruption.
Someone go get him. Oh!
Our audience at home, obviously not seeing, but maybe can imagine what just happened based on the reaction of Dan Orlovsky.
Good tackle, man. I don't know, after that hit, you got to be thinking, probably wasn't worth it.
Well, here at the Vaught, as the drunk tank will get one person more crowded. The teams looks like they are just about set to continue the game with 8:24 to go in the fourth quarter. Ole Miss on top 41-34. Bob Wischusen here with Dan Orlovsky and Chris Budden. Ole Miss trying to keep this undefeated season alive. They've got a touchdown lead. The toss to Zach Evans. Brought down to the 48-yard line, a yard shy of a first down. So it will be, after Wesley Steiner made that stop, 3rd down and 1 for Ole Miss. They'll stay with Evans to the right of Dart in the shotgun. Evans again. First down to midfield. Another 3rd down conversion for Ole Miss.
And if you're Auburn right now, you really got to start pressuring, slanting some of these defensive linemen, and allowing scrape over the top to protect against quarterback run.
Evans, stiff arm. Flag down. He got to the 40-yard line of Auburn, but a flag back near the line of scrimmage. And it looks like this one's going to be coming back.
I think they're going to get a hold on Watkins. There's been a couple times today where Ole Miss has held in the slot.
Holding on the offense, number 11. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. 3 first down.
Watch right side of your screen right there. You know, as Keontae Scott tries to separate, you just see a little bit of a tug by Watkins. And so now this turns into a must for Auburn defensively. You got them backed up, 1st and 16. You're now behind the sticks. This is when I come after this offense.
That's Jordan Watkins in motion. Play action. Dart looking downfield. He's going to take a deep shot for Mingo. Incomplete. The first time they have tried that play action shot to Jonathan Mingo. He had a step, but Dart overthrew it.
I begged for it all game. There's Mingo running away from Pritchett, and it's just overthrown. I would have loved to see Jackson Dart just bring him across the field a little bit more than downfield, and then allow the 6'2", 225-pounder to go up and make a play.
2nd down and long, quarterback draw. Dart close to a first down. Within a half yard. Keontae Scott back in the game after the earlier injury, makes the tackle.
Yeah, great shot. You don't see anybody on Auburn's defense because they all went towards the sideline with the pass concept that they deployed to pull people away. And then Jackson Dart replaces those vacating linebackers.
And before 3rd down and 1, the officials now set the ball ready for play and start to wind the clock. Ole Miss 10 of 17 on 3rd down.
Inside run right off the right edge.
Judkins up the middle. No one home for Auburn. House call. Touchdown. Ole Miss now has 3 different players that have gone over 100 yards rushing on the day. Quinshon Judkins, Zach Evans, and Jackson Dart. Dart's got a $111, Evans 113, and Judkins now with his 2nd touchdown run of the day, up to 139 yards. Dan, that is 423 rushing yards for Ole Miss.
How about the offensive line, though? Those 3 guys don't do it by themselves. They needed it. Judkins gave it to them. Rebels up 14 at home.
Matt Berry back in our college football studios. Ole Miss Auburn 48-34. Ole Miss just extended their lead. However, we are now in a weather delay. There was lightning in the Oxford area, about a 30-minute delay or so. When it does come back, we'll let you know. We'll direct you to the traffic of where that Ole Miss game will conclude. For now, though, we want to go out to Provo, Arkansas, making a trip to BYU. Should be a fun one to watch. Dave Pass, Dusty Dvorak on the call. We'll see you back here in studio at the half.
Marathon here in Oxford, 48-34. We are set to resume about 3 minutes from now, as it seems like the Lightning is just pushed out of the area. Bob Wischusen and Dan Orlovsky. And Chris Button, it's a 2-touchdown lead for Ole Miss, but they got it started through the air. Dan, Jackson Dart sharp early.
Yeah, the touchdown to Dayton Wade, and then the creativity to find Evans as a pass catcher. But Auburn credit them. They kept bouncing back. This touchdown by Robbie Ashford finally got them on the board. And then they come out in the second half. Bigsby has a huge run downfield. They've ran the football relatively well. Auburn offensively against Ole Miss defensively. Then Ole Miss is like, okay, well, punch for punch. A beautiful onside kick executed by them. And then they turn it into touchdown as Judkins has been a physical presence for their run game. Lane Kiffin has loved this offensive juggernaut on the ground, over 420 yards, but Robbie Ashford has been awesome, specifically using his legs down in the red zone. Ole Miss isn't paying attention to him, but then you see Judkins, the big fella, not only a big presence, but fast enough to run away. Like I said, 423 yards on the ground for Ole Miss, and it's really been a one-man show in many moments for Robbie Ashford.
You have to wonder now if Auburn is out of answers, right? They're about to get the football back. There's still 6.5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. They might be in score onside kick mode to try and keep it away from that rush attack for Ole Miss. We'll see. But even in what might end up being a losing effort with their coach very much, it seems, on the hot seat, they kept on coming back this afternoon. I've been impressed by their effort.
Their fight and grit has been awesome, and it's really been spearheaded by their young quarterback, and you have to give him credit for that. Like you said, there's 6.5 left. The challenge for them is try to get back into momentum. Right. They had an offensive momentum going. Their quarterback was seeing things really well. He was trusting the timing of when to get out of the pocket and when not to. How quickly or if he can replicate that and their offense replicate it is going to go a long way to seeing if they can at least get it to a one-score game in under 4 minutes, 3 minutes to go in this football game.
Yeah, Chris Budden's down there. Chris, we'll have to see if Auburn has any jump as the game resumes.
Well, if it's any indication of when they came out of the locker room, there was a 10-minute warm-up warm-up, and they were here at the minute that 10 minutes started to click off. Now, 3 minutes later, we saw Ole Miss come out, walking out. Now, their locker room a lot deeper, further back in this complex than where Auburn's is in the away locker room. But even Lane Kiffin just came out 60 seconds ago.
Well, we'll see if Auburn coming out a little bit earlier than Ole Miss gives them a little bit more of a jump with 6.5 minutes to go. They're about to get the football, but Dan, you'd have to think at this point, especially with 423 rushing yards on the board for Ole Miss, they need to stretch a couple of possessions together here. Depending on how fast they score, if they can score, onside kick is going to have to be in place.
You're probably onside no matter what. You were down 21-0 in this game. The opportunity to somehow, if you can, steal it is huge, but it really starts with, can we get one first down? Let's get a first down, and then let's really get into an aggressive mindset offensively.
Well, the crowd that has remained outside of a handful of Auburn fans making as much noise as they can. They're on their feet for this Ole Miss kickoff. And Jonathan Cruz has, for the most part today, been a touchback machine. He has a strong leg. The Charlotte transfer resumes the game with another booming kick that will go 5 yards deep and through the back of the end zone. So now the question after the lightning delay, does Robbie Ashford, Tank Bigsby, and this Auburn offense have one more push in them for the last 6 minutes and 26 seconds?
And their offensive line had done such a great job today of pushing against Ole Miss's defensive front. Now Ole Miss has the chance to go have corrections, have a conversation. Do we want to change our front? They also have significantly higher energy levels. I think you're going to have to throw yourself back into this game if you're Auburn.
Ashford goes to work on the ground and gets stood up. A gain of 2 on first down. And obviously Auburn, in spite of the fact that they do have a couple of timeouts left, and 6 minutes can be an eternity in college football, they can't afford, you would think, to take their time. They have also largely tried to do damage today on the ground. They've only thrown the ball 9 times all day. 2nd down and 8. So the 10th passing attempt of the day. Ashford, maybe not. He's going to tuck it under and run. Nowhere to go with the ball. Troy Brown pushed him out after a gain of 1.
Great job in coverage if you're Ole Miss defensively, and then really once Robbie Ashford tucks the ball, going after him and forcing him to run out of bounds. 3rd and 8. You mentioned it, Bob. They've only actually attempted 9 passes this afternoon. Start with protection. Handle Coleman. You gotta pay attention to Coleman. He's their blitzer for Ole Miss defensively. Find your tight end Schenker.
They're 5 for 11 on 3rd down. Empty backfield as Shedrick Jackson is the motion man. It's only a 3-man rush. There's a slant, incomplete. He threw it behind Javarius Johnson, and now they will be compelled to go for it on 4th down and 7 with 5:11 to go.
He's got Johnson on the slant, and it's just on his back shoulder. If he hits him in stride, he might be able to squeeze and score. Put that ball out in front of the face mask, and you allow your most dynamic open field player with the ball in his hands to go make a big play. Middle of the field's got to be the throw. That's where they've had some success working in the pass game today, in between those hashes.
A must for Auburn to have any hope. Play clock down to 3. 4-man rush. Ashford running for his life. He's going to try and get to the sticks, lowers his shoulder. Oh, he's so close. He took a big hit. Got out of bounds right at the line to gain. DeAndre Prince brought him down, and he guts it out for 7 yards and 6 inches, it looks like.
I mean, just the will, the effort, the toughness. Robbie Ashford has been so impressive. That left hand bracing, that stretch of the football has been all heart today.
The end of the run was beyond the line to gain. That was a ruling on the field. The previous play is under review.
He got it. And this is not a play that is necessary to stop the game to look at. You can see clearly he reaches the ball out, hand down. The ball's well past the line to gain as he goes out of bounds. There should be a very quick, I would think, confirmation that this was picked up.
You can see his left hand's short, but that ball is, I don't know, a half a yard past that first down marker. Takes a nice shot there from Prince.
I mean, no body part is down other than his hand as he extended the ball past the line to gain. And obviously you are allowed to plant your hand. It has to be some other body part down for you to be down and the play to be over. His knees are still well off the ground.
I think that's also why they didn't run to the line of scrimmage and try to snap something quickly. It happens on their sideline. They saw it was obvious. It'd have to be overwhelming evidence.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. It's first down.
So a gutty run by Robbie Ashford, and he picks up the first down.
If you're Ole Miss defensively, I mean, everything comes down to over the next 4 minutes and 44 seconds is your defensive line just staying in front. They call it a crunch rush, where you're actually not trying to get to the quarterback. You're just trying to shrink the pocket on him.
Long throw. Connects with Johnson. Brought down in the field of play by A.J. Finley, a gain of 5. Precious seconds for Auburn ticking off the clock. 4:15 to go. Ashford escaping the pocket. He's going to run again to the sideline. And this time out of bounds at the 42. He's got a couple. That'll bring up 3rd down and 4. 3:58 remaining.
Again, the lack of discipline out of Ole Miss's front, you know, of just allowing him to get outside of the pocket. Obviously 4-down territory for Auburn right now, and usually in this situation you're thinking, okay, can I get out of bounds? Right now, with it being 3rd down, everyone, both back, tight end, and receiver-wise, has to understand the yardage is more important than getting out of bounds and stopping the clock.
Taking Auburn a lot of time to get this play off. Play clock down to 5 when they snap it. Ashford directing traffic, improvising, throws it away, and he's going to fight now once again on 4th down. It'll be 4th and about 3.5 with 3:23 remaining.
The last 3 times that we've seen, or 4 times that we've seen no one open, it's because Ole Miss has decided to play man coverage. And in this situation, you see Chris Partridge, the defensive coordinator for Ole Miss, he's going to play it again. And he's going to have 2 people spying on the quarterback. Robbie Ashford, the big thing in these moments, who's my best player? That is 25, Schenker, or 6, Javarius Johnson. The ball has to start with those 2 players.
A timeout will be called by Auburn with the clock stopped.
Timeout. Auburn, 2nd timeout this half.
Now, Dan, they have to get the play right. It's
No
close
doubt.
to 4th and 4.
No doubt.
So I understand why you feel the need to call the timeout. Having said that, you're down 2 scores, 3.5 minutes to go. You've only got 2 timeouts left when you call that one.
But
That is what they might need.
But you've got a very young quarterback that may not have been in this situation ever before.
And the game's on the line.
And you want him to have a very clear mind of, we're calling this play to get this guy or this guy the ball. If you get this coverage, this is what we want to do. If not, you got to trust your legs. So I don't mind that play call, because this play obviously determines if they have a shot or if the game is over. So you really want to make sure that Robbie Ashford has a very clear thought process of what to do.
After the timeout, another 4th down for Auburn to try and keep the game alive. Here comes a blitz. Swing pass. Hunter. Cut back. Breaks a tackle and gets the 1st down.
I like that play because it's the right decision by Ashford. Backer hangs inside, kick it out to Hunter, and then you got to trust that he's strong enough and wiggly enough to get away from the tackle. Beautiful job of operating that play.
Coming up on 3 minutes to go. Back-to-back fourth down conversions. Ashford looking downfield. Bullets one over the middle, incomplete. For the intended receiver. DeAndre Prince broke it up.
He's trying to find Corey Moore just on a crossing route. And just again, just a little bit on that back hip, and then Prince does a good job of bringing the left arm there. I'll tell this, Robbie Ashford, you're getting soft coverage on the outside though. Don't be scared to throw some of those outbreakers to the perimeter.
Another five-man rush. He wants the deep ball down the sideline for Jackson. Underthrown, incomplete. He couldn't adjust. 3rd down and 10.
Got to be anticipating man coverage right now. The big thing for Ole Miss, keep him in the pocket defensively, allow your coverage to plaster on that secondary. And then you want to be, if you're Robbie Ashford, throwing guys that are running sideline to sideline away from that trailing man coverage.
And it's a 4-man rush. Ashford into a tight window, incomplete. 4th down and 10. 2:44 to go. He was throwing to a freshman there in Camden Brown. Another freshman in coverage, Davison Igbenassim. Oh, they've already converted twice on 4th down on this drive. They can do it. Can they do it a 3rd time? Four-man rush again for Ole Miss. Spinning out is Ashford, being chased to the sideline, throws one into traffic, and it's intercepted. DeAndre Prince with the exclamation point for Ole Miss. Valiant effort for Robbie Ashford.
Awesome.
And this Auburn team, but the number 9 team racks up 423 yards rushing, and they absolutely deserve to win this game.
And you know what? When their defense needed to come back out after an hour break to find a way to get a stop, they did. So credit them for that. Auburn had some really good success today, ran the football well, and Robbie Ashford was awesome, but Ole Miss's defense steps up and gets that turnover on 4th down when they needed it the most.
And Auburn with only 1 timeout left. Dart on a keeper, and a smart play to get down inbounds and roll the clock. He picked up 4. And I'm not sure that Auburn is going to choose to use their timeout yet.
He did a good job of just spying them. Coleman there, 23, and then Robbie Ashford's got to try to go make that throw downfield, but the 2-man rush, double guys spying on him. Still 7 guys in coverage. Really good adjustment by Chris Partridge, the defensive coordinator for Ole Miss, and then Lane Kiffin obviously overjoyed. I'm talking to him yesterday. It's hard. You kind of referenced it. It's almost like the NFL. It is hard to win in this league week to week.
Judkins up the middle, and it looks like the final timeout will now be called by Auburn. 1:44 to go. 3rd down and 2.
Well, this is the first time in 7 games that they've beaten Auburn. First time that Lane Kiffin has beaten Auburn, the 14th straight win at home for Ole Miss.
And the rushing numbers continue to pile up for Ole Miss. They go past Georgia today for most rushing touchdowns on the season, 431 yards, most against any SEC team since back when there were teams running the wishbone back in those days.
I kind of thought that was one of the surprises of this offense, as you see Charlie Weiss Jr. and Partridge right there. I think there's been a little bit better broadcast booth shot of them this season at some point. Maybe a little bit more animated.
And when the Wildcats were in town.
Yeah. Looked like WWE.
That was memorable.
Yeah, but that's the surprising thing is how much of a run offense this is. Everyone thinks Lane Kiffin, chuck and duck, splash plays down the field, and they have that, but their foundational identity is running the football.
Zach Evans on 3rd down and 2. They'll toss it to him. He finds a lane. He's got the first down, and it will now be victory formation for Ole Miss. Well, this will be a celebration today for Ole Miss, but Dan, you referenced it a few weeks ago when they took on Kentucky.
Yes.
This is the most famous coaches celebration of the season by far, as their pass rushers created 2
Look at the
turnovers.
chokehold. That's good form, Charlie. You got the chokehold right around. Look at him right now. He's like, okay, guys. Okay, let's adjust. He'll be a head coach, I don't know, 5-6 years.
No, the undefeated season will now continue for Ole Miss. This is about the only way I think they've gone backwards with their rush game today.
You see how he gets to the line of scrimmage, though, to make sure that coaches are so silly, man. Hey, I only want you to take 1 yard loss on this kneel down. Don't give me 4.
And already Alabama in some trouble against Tennessee. Now, Georgia not a team that Ole Miss has on their schedule this year, but they do have Alabama later on this year as well. You wonder
what's the score
what
of the Bama game? What do you got for me, Bob?
21-7 Tennessee.
Ooh. My goodness.
That will do it. So Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss stay undefeated, and another tough loss to swallow for Coach Arson.
You have nothing to hang your head for, number 9. You played your absolute tail off.
The first win against Auburn in a handful of years for Ole Miss. For Dan Orlovsky and Chris Budden, I'm Bob Wischusen saying so long from Oxford. 48-34 your final. Ole Miss wins it.
ESPN thanks you for watching this presentation of the Southeastern Conference.
Thanks to Avalara.